No, little light in the corner came on.
All right, yeah. See, it's really professional. It's like we're in a studio. Anyway, hello everyone. I'm here with a fellow YouTuber. Who are you, sir? Introduce yourself.
Playing the character HagbardCeline, basically.
Yes, I noticed there were a lot of those. I tried
Yeah,
looking up HagbardCeline and I get like 20 people before you.
I
Are they
know, and
are they
I
stealing
didn't
your thunder?
I didn't realize that, and I actually looked, and it's the same on Twitter, but most of them have been dead since 2011 or before. They're just inactive accounts. They're just hanging out with no one using them. So, I
You're
wasn't really
you're the
trying to.
one true Hagbard.
Yes, I'm the remaining Hagbard, the final permutation, if you will.
It's like a lineage, and it's passed down
Exactly.
to you.
Well, and it's a character from a book series from the 70s. That he's just a kind of a free spirit, free thinker, and that's what I think most people are striving towards when they take that name.
I'm glad you explained because I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, I
Um,
understand.
what's the book? Maybe I know it.
The book is called The Illuminatus Trilogy by Robert Anton Wilson and Robert Shea.
Oh, then I don't know.
Yeah, it was kind of a
There you go.
counterculture book written while these two guys worked at the Playboy Mansion. And they
Oh,
basically collected all these stories about the supposed Illuminati that were already starting to come out at that point, and then made a parody of it. And then they just made a whole joke parody of it. It was great.
there were truthers in the 70s. That's good to know.
Yeah, yeah, no, the Illuminatus myth harkens back to the first technical writing down of it was the Illuminated Seers of Bavaria, and that was in the late 1800s. And they were kind of like the French Revolution in southern Germany.
Hmm.
Before the French Revolution, it said that they went on and influenced that and yada yada yada. But mostly, it was revitalized in the '60s as a joke on UCLA campuses. There was a student union student group called the Illuminatus, and they sent out a bunch of papers and all kinds of stuff. So he kind of resparked his imagination there. It's an interesting read.
It's funny because I don't get it so much recently, but a couple weeks ago, I was leaving some comments, and I think I got the Vigilant Christians fans pissed off,
Oh,
and
lovely.
they came after me in droves, like you don't know the truth, and like we need to sit you down and explain it. It's like, oh no, please no. They
Now,
they were leaving comments with like hundreds of lines of bullshit
mm,
text, and I was not going to sit there and read through all that.
yeah, the
There's
crazy black dude I was messing with does the same thing. He'll leave messages that are like, "Yo, check this out," and you look at it, and it's like, fucking 1,000 lines and you're like, "Dude, what? No, you just copied a whole fucking textbook over here. What am I supposed to do? Read that whole damn thing?"
what do these people do all day?
They
Like,
hang out, they watch conspiratorial websites, and they think that they're learning the truth. Because I mean,
I'm
really,
I'm watching the news.
yeah, really,
Yeah,
we all want like some form of knowing for sure something, like knowing the high knowing, the capital K knowing. And some
knowing.
people, yeah, exactly. And some people are content to let a conspiracy theory take place of religion, or a religious conspiracy theory where it's like, they're trying to come out and Satanists are controlling the government and trying to destroy all Christians and yada yada yada.
That's the worst part. It's a combo of
Mm-hmm.
just terribleness. Yeah, and at that point, you really can't get people out of their beliefs because it's so ingrained and everything's so dependent on the next piece of the bullshit.
Yeah, it's the multiple reinforced myth. It's where even if you pull one leg out, they've got three or four other things that they like. Yeah, but all this other stuff. So even if that's not true, fuck you. Like, I mean, it's a really interesting conscious process to watch people go through. And I collect conspiracy theories. I think they're entertaining. I don't believe any of them. I just think that to varying degrees that they show how people would prefer to think that something was controlling everything than to think that certain small pockets of people are malicious pieces of shit and most of the human population is mindless. I mean, that's the truth of it. It's not a grand conspiracy. It's just that most people are mindless and most of the bad people are really really concentrated in their efforts. That's That's all. There's no conspiracy. This guy wants money. If anything beyond that conspiracy is
It's so much more easily explained by that. Like some
yeah.
people want to make a profit, and they have found it's an underhanded technique that doesn't have much honesty behind it, but it's
And
understandable.
are they amoral? Certainly, but is it a conspiracy? No. No, they're amoral. They don't care. They have no
I don't see
feeling
how
about it one
making
way or the
money.
other.
I don't see how making money is a conspiracy when that's what our entire economic system is built upon.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, in one sense, everything's a conspiracy. That's one of the jokes I made when I first found this guy was that, I mean, one of the sayings that the character I have has is everything is equally true, untrue, partially true and untrue, and all of that doesn't matter. I mean, yes, money's a conspiracy. We've all agreed to exchange pieces of paper for goods and services. That is inherently a cultural conspiracy, but
Yeah,
it's not a conspiracy.
it's almost a sham at that point.
But it's not a conspiracy derived from the top down to inherently engineer certain behavior from the masses. No, it happened organically through human stupidity. I mean, that's all. Human beings don't have a whole lot of foresight when they're trying to make progress. They just want to make the next step.
Yeah, if anything, the money it's representative of work you've done.
Correct.
So
and trust me, before they used to just extract labor from you. They used to just show up at your house and be like, "Hey, guess what you're doing this weekend? You're helping build a castle wall." Like that's just what they did.
Yeah, and they didn't pay you. Maybe they gave you some crumbs, but
Exactly.
yeah, let's go back to that. Clearly a better model.
Yeah, and that's the thing is anytime I hear some of these noble savage obsessionists or people that talk about going back to better times, I laugh in their face. I mean,
what do you think about people who they straddle the line for the gold standard?
How do you mean?
Like they'll be like, "Oh, paper money is worthless. We need to go back to using gold and silver because that's worth something." It's like, well, that has an arbitrary worth as well.
Yeah. Well, and the alternative to that is that it actually has a value now, insofar as we use it in high-end electronics. Almost all high-end electronics are made with gold. So there are places buying up gold right now that are actually turning it into stuff. And then there's a theory that in the future we will have to go back and mine our garbage piles, our big landfills. We're going to have to mine those for things like cadmium and stuff like that we're currently using in cell phones, and then just throwing the fuckers away. I mean, there are gold in your fucking cell phones. I mean, gold, platinum, cadmium, very, very hard to find rare earth metals.
I'm not throwing mine away.
Yeah, I don't either.
I'll pick it out. I'll be like, find the gold.
See, I have a thing where like I don't have a cell phone. I use one of I have a cell phone, but it circulates between several people, and it's not a smartphone. I don't have obviously I don't have a camera attached to my computer. I don't have a camera attached to my cell phone. I don't do any of that.
Once again, not missing out on too much.
Really when I see that mostly it turns out that people just want to take pictures of their food and selfies is when I realized that I didn't need a camera on my phone.
It's sad because I took a selfie today. I was just like, yeah, here's me during my day. As if anyone could possibly care.
It's not that I judge people that do it. It's just I don't personally see the point. I don't, and I'm really counter getting my own picture taken. So I'm not big on having people take my picture. So it would be really hard to will me to turn the camera on myself.
Like turning a gun on yourself.
Yeah,
you won't even show himself on YouTube.
Yeah, there's a reason why people who work behind cameras work behind them. That's not a mistake. You work behind them because you'd prefer to be there than the person out there who's going to be out in the world for the rest of their existence.
A face for radio is what I've heard.
I'll take that. I'll take face for radio.
That's fine. You have a nice voice, so there we go. It works. Actually, I did want to get into talking about your channel, if you don't mind. Yeah. So, what's your channel all about for people who don't know? And I actually I put a link to it in the description of this.
Oh,
people
cool.
who are watching. So yeah, go ahead and check them out.
My channel is mostly about refuting bad ideas. That's really what the whole purpose is. I'm not per se anti-feminist. I'm anti what we deal with right now that is calling itself feminism, that has absolutely no bearing or relation to the actual, treating of people which is their quote unquote stated goal, although it's completely garbage. And I'm one of those people that understand that the other aspect is I'm not big on people's hardcore religious beliefs. I understand that some people need them insofar as they would literally lose their minds or kill themselves if they no longer believed. And I've met many people like that, which is why I don't walk up to hardcore believers and debunk their beliefs directly, because some of them really can't handle not having their beliefs. But things like the Hebrew Israelites and Nation of Islam and those guys, they're insane. And they actually have violent followers that will do crazy things. And that bothers me. It's just like Islam and why I directly criticize that as well. It's you have beliefs that are regressive and counter to any form of a decent future.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say I fit into a similar kind of category on that, because certainly people can believe whatever they want, but I don't like when it affects really the world around me, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to see special privilege given to that, something that we don't even know if it's true or not, you know?
Exactly. And my view on religion in particular is I don't care what you believe as long as you don't get any on me. It's the same thing I feel about people's sexuality. I don't care who or what you fuck. I don't want to hear about it.
Cats.
First, guys are like, oh, why is it wrong if a gay man talks about his sexuality? Because I don't wander around and talk about sex with other guys, and I think most straight men that do that on a really regular basis are deeply insecure people. Like, if you have to wander around and be like, yo, dude, I fucked this chick last night, and it was like, oh, you have no idea, bro. Like, if you do that about a guy, I'm going to be just as uncomfortable as when a guy walks up and does it to me about his girlfriend. I'm like, I don't want to hear about your sex life, man. I just don't. I mean,
that kind of conversations feels really uncalled for most of the time. I don't even know where that would possibly come from. So by the way, let me tell you about my sex life.
Exactly.
Actually, I think that was a line from The Room. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have. I love The Room.
Anyway, how's your sex life?
Kind of way. Yeah. Anyway, how's your sex life? Like, you're right. I think it is.
That's how that conversation gets brought up.
It's fucking Mark, isn't it?
Yeah. Mark.
Yeah, I think that's Mark.
Oh, what the story, Mark?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Have you heard of? Kind of gonna sidetrack here. Have you heard of riff tracks?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then the rest of this is moot. Just as long as you've heard of them, I'm happy.
Oh yeah. I like that. I like that kind of thing.
I was an old fan of Mystery Science Theater, so when I found out about 5 years after they started producing material that they had come back as that group, I was furious. I didn't know earlier. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're good at what they do. I wanted to also touch on you said that you this modern movement that calls itself feminism isn't really true feminism, right?
Yeah.
So in that regard, I actually am wondering, would you say you identify as a first wave feminist or something like that?
No, I identify as a human rights activist. That's all. Just all human beings should be inherently treated as equals. And now this is saying that out loud has become a problem. That alone is a problem. So I just watched a video that Sargon of Akkad and them did.
You're an MRA.
Yeah, and I am an MRA. I do think that there are certain practices. As someone who was a child of divorce, let me tell you, the only reason my dad made out the way he did was he was the fiscally superior person in the situation. He hired a fuckhole of a lawyer. And if it hadn't been for that and several tens of thousands of dollars, it perhaps would have gone another way. And there are some other aspects of the men's rights movement that I understand, and I do understand there's so much bitterness in things like MGTOW and stuff like that. Yeah. And I've looked into the manosphere and stuff, and I've looked into it, and I get it. These guys are hurt, man. These guys are really badly damaged people, and it's not saying that derogatorily. I mean, these people have been damaged by other human beings treating them as less than human. And to judge them for their backlash to that's kind of fucked up. These guys are usually deeply unhappy middle-aged men that have had their whole lives wrecked. I mean, you gotta have some understanding. But I don't consider myself any of those things. I think it's gotten bizarre because everyone has started asking for special treatment for things that they sometimes have chosen and sometimes haven't. Things like when you become transgendered, when you go through with the surgery or you don't go through with the surgery or whatever, it will inherently draw attention to you. To not understand that, I don't know what you expected. Like, truth be told, I don't know what you expect. And most of the people, I grew up in Florida, right next to a place called the Parliament House, and these people, this was a drag club. This is what they did. They dressed up in drag and went out and had shows. And we used to go. It was great fun. I mean, I'm not averse to this lifestyle or anything. It's more I'm averse to you playing victim constantly. These guys never played victim. The drag dudes I grew up hanging out with would punch you in the fucking teeth in a heartbeat because they grew up knowing that people were going to judge them and treat them badly. So if that was going to happen, they'd come at you twice as hard as you ever expected them to. That's a victim narrative I can stand behind. That's standing up for yourself. But literally rolling over, pissing on yourself, and begging other people to help you is just pitiful.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have some conviction. If this is what you believe that you are, and your beliefs, I would expect anyone to stand up for what they believe in and what they think is right.
Exactly.
And I don't feel like I should have to say that. I feel like when I have to explain that to people who have this victim complex, I feel like I'm explaining things to children. You should know inherently that not everyone's always going to agree with you on everything, and that you should actually put up an argument for your case.
Exactly. And that if you can't, then perhaps you're wrong.
No, it can't be that. Come
I mean,
on.
that's something we stopped teaching. I remember I in my middle school, I was the last class of students that was taught in a class called critical thinking. Like, we don't have those classes anymore. And I think us pulling up the fucking bridge behind us might have been a problem. I mean, we gutted the education system. We further allowed for the infantilization of an entire generation. I mean, with anyone under 25 at this point, I question. I mean,
that would be me.
I was about to say, it's not personal if you happen to fall into that radius. It's just a lot of that generation is just so backwards. It's impossible to talk to.
I agree.
I'm sure you're running into the same problem.
It's sad because I'm someone who identifies as a moderate liberal. And the reason I can't go full is because of these crazy motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like I look like a right winger when put up against them. And if you really look at the political opinions I espouse, I do fall on the left. But like, fuck, these people, I'll take the right wingers over these people any day. These people actively make the political side I'm on look horrible.
Yeah, that's how it's very strange because I come from like a hippie household. I mean, I do. I come from a very liberal household.
Awesome.
I was never raised there was never religion in my household. It was always, if there is a spirit or anything out there and there is a plan, why do you need to be concerned about it? Just be a good person. That's what you were taught. Is there's no religious reason not to murder people. You don't murder people because murdering people is a bad thing to do. I mean, the fact that I should have to explain this more than once is absurd. Once one understands the concept of willfully removing the life of another human being without their consent specifically, that's a problem. I mean, it just is. I'm in Oregon right now, so
that's something you need to be taught.
Yeah, not only that, but you need to believe in a deity and his punishments, or you're going to do this. That's scary.
I think that makes it worse when you're just doing it for like a reward or to avoid a punishment. How about you just do it because it's obviously the right thing to do?
Well, at its most extreme, that's how we have Boko Haram and ISIS right there, is because they were told, if you spread Islam and if you happen to do so by force, that's just as good. And if you happen to die doing so, that's Allah's will in spreading and enforcing Islam. And if you die that way, you will be a hero. I mean, that's the God will directly recognize you. And when you raise people teaching that, maybe they believe it. I mean, it's the same thing with Christianity.
Hagbard, excuse me, sir. That was the most Islamophobic thing
I know.
I've ever heard.
I'm well aware.
He's a racist, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what else
Yes,
to say.
ideologically
Racist.
racist. What is it? What is it? Christopher or Hawkins was accused of being a cultural chauvinist.
Yeah, I believe so.
I'll
Yeah, that
take it.
sounds.
I mean, if that's what people want to call me, I will take it. Yeah, there are some cultures that are better than others. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, there are. I mean, there fundamentally are. There are cultures right now that still bandage their penises to make sure that they don't get too badly bitten by fleas to have sex. That's still a thing. So, is my culture superior to that? Yes. Is it because of other reasons? Then it's inherently like, for some reason, being called a cultural chauvinist makes you a racist. That doesn't make sense. They're not behaving badly because of their race. They simply haven't been introduced to any other ideas. It
It has a
tends that
lot to
when
do with a lot of the times the regions people come from and the ideologies that spring out of those regions. Like I would say a lot of cultures that are better off are cultures that have seen many different cultures and a lot of meeting of different cultural ideas so they could kind of get an idea of what worked and what didn't. And then you look at these places that are remote and have been cut off and have been left to their own folly. These are the places that are still dealing with problems we figured out a long time ago.
exactly, and saying that sounds bad to some people. Just simply the statement you just made. Things we figured out a long time ago. Are you calling them backwards? Are you saying these people are inherently stupid, sir?
No, no,
I mean,
not at
no, but you
all.
know what I'm saying. Like that's as fast as it gets flipped.
Yeah, but
That's what
that
we deal
that's
with
the first
nowadays.
thing that an extremely PC person would say to that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first that I have to deal with that all the time. I'm like, yes, I've just started being the shit lord I apparently am. Yes, just own it. Yeah, sure. If that's what you consider, if you have defined me being racist as me saying that I don't think women should have FGM performed on them at a young age, um, and that's racist, then I'm a fucking racist. Sure. I mean,
I
if
mean,
that
if
falls in
they
your
can
definition.
redefine racist to mean whatever they want, of course, anyone in their mind will be a racist.
It floors them. I'm telling you, do it to a couple people who call you one of these things and just go, sure, continue the conversation and actually refute my points. If I've already warned that, I've completely negated your emotional attack on me and said, sure, if you insist, I am whatever it is you just said I am.
Well,
Now
it
explain to me
sounds
why
like
I'm
we
wrong.
it sounds like we agree that when people of this mindset launch insults at you, it's a sign that they really don't have an argument against what you're
Oh,
saying.
absolutely. It's almost always a sign. I've never had someone say, "Oh, you're a misogynist," and then be like, "Explain to me why that was misogynistic." Well, because reasons, and it's never a reason. It's always just they either just repeat me or they just say because you hate women. And well, yeah, they know that you've defined the word misogyny. That's great, but you haven't explained how what I said or did was misogynistic.
Oh, that's great. They'll throw the definition in there, like, yeah, this
Oh yeah,
proves
it's
it.
great. No, I'll just say like, how is that misogynistic?
Look,
Well, because you hate
connect the
women.
dots, please.
Yeah, you sound like a guy that has no argument that starts saying, follow the money. Like it's okay. Follow the money works a lot of the times, but you'd actually have to have a money trail to prove. You can't just say follow the money, thus point. I mean, it doesn't work like that. It simply doesn't.
I mean, that'd be like someone saying you're an idiot, and then they quote you the definition of idiot. Like
Yeah.
that's supposed
Oh,
to
they do
be
that all the
great.
time. People have done that forever. So that's why I've started dealing with it the same way that I dealt with that online fucking 15 years ago. When people just, you're an idiot. Okay, now why am I wrong? Because if an idiot's right, then what does that make you? So I mean, you get into those conversations with people, and you can do the same thing with almost anything, up to and including racist, which makes them feel very weird. You watch their eyes cross. It's very fun. Like, yeah, okay, well, if I'm a racist and these statistics are racist, then what are you for ignoring them? Like, what does that make you? Like, really? Like, it doesn't make you a racist necessarily, but it sounds pretty racist to ignore an entire race's particular whatever. If that is ignoring a race's behavior and not holding them to any standard, also racist or not? Like,
I don't know. It's also skewed now. These labels have lost pretty much all their meaning.
absolutely, yeah.
Like
No, they've
I
just
don't.
become attacks.
At first, I'll admit, the first time I was called some of these things, it did hurt a little. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
man, that's harsh. But now that it has like literally no weight behind it,
Exactly.
I who could possibly care?
Exactly. And I actually warned people before I started detaching myself from the left-wing friends I had, because we are kind of forming a new thing here, where the right doesn't want us because we're lefties, and the
It's
left is the
is it?
left
I
has
don't know
gone
if it's
insane.
centrist though. I don't think it would count as
But
centrist.
we're not. We're not really centrists either, because I don't know about you, but those usually are people with, if you will, very, very, very strong state support, unwaveringly.
Yeah, no.
And I'm all for criticizing my government, just not for hating it. That's stupid. It
Is
just
it
is.
is it
That's
almost like left libertarian or something?
Yeah, it is kind of. I used to call myself the liberal libertarian. That was a joke I used to go by, because I don't care what you do as long as it doesn't affect anybody else. I mean, the old joke was, I don't care if you fuck pigs. I don't want to hear it squeal. I don't. I mean, that just seems fair to me. I don't. You're interrupting my life because of your sex habits. It's the same thing I'd ask of your wife. If every time you guys have sex, my wall gets banged on and I hear you guys having sex, I'm gonna come over and knock on the fucking door. That's just how it works.
That doesn't seem very polite. Just let them be. Just let them
Yeah,
be.
exactly. Just deal with it. That's kind of like, it's the same thing that everyone's asking for. It's a redefinition of the concept of what it means to be liberal, and then making liberal into being able to be walked over. Where I came from more like the Abbie Hoffman school, where they weren't hippies, they were yippies, because they were teaching each other how to make bombs. I mean, if you're serious about going and rioting, you need to be ready. I was trying to help the people rioting on Ferguson. I was sending them tweets like, they're talking about all the Palestinians that sent them how to deal with rioters. I shot them whole pages from this book explaining, this is simple household things you can do not to have tear gas directly affect your eyes and mouth. This is how, this is how you wash tear gas off. Do not use water, because there are Ferguson protesters throwing water on each other. Please stop doing that. That's clearly not working. You need to have milk around, guys. This is a standard fucking rioting procedure. We've been doing this since the 50s and 60s. This isn't new. But they didn't do any research. They didn't have any preparation. They weren't prepared for the quote unquote, as they complained, military tactics. Read a fucking book. Read Steal This Book by Abbie Hoffman. Just read that book and you guys would have been 100% prepared, but not one of you even thought to do that.
I mean, that's the sad thing about riots. You would want them to have more preparation, but they're usually pretty spur of the moment. Like everyone gets caught up in it, and it's complete chaos. And
Yeah,
it's
but these aren't like that. These are planned on social media for weeks in advance. I mean, some of these I've watched form on quote unquote, and I've used this before, quote unquote, Black Twitter. If you type in hashtag Black Twitter, these are formed like the Million Man March was formed. These things happen like quite intentionally. Like, hey, yo, someone got shot. And then Black Twitter erupts and they say, hey, tomorrow afternoon, we're going to get together on XYZ Street and shut down the highway. Now, if you do something like that, you have to know the police are going to come. And you have to be prepared for the consequences. All protesters in the past have been. This is the first time I've ever seen protesters arrested complaining publicly about their arrest and then getting sympathy. Traditionally, protesters knew this was coming. They've always set up, agitation funds. They've always set up things that were
I don't see how you could possibly complain. I thought that was the point of a protest, that it would
correct.
be a mob against a line of cops, and you
And
understood
and
who
the other
was on
thing
which
is
side.
that sometimes these people have started losing moral high grounds, and that's something that you can't win the public favor while simultaneously losing the moral high ground. It just doesn't
And
make
it's
sense.
sad because I feel like a lot of people who think like us can't even really make that criticism because, oh, that's racist, or
Hmm.
that's in favor of police brutality. It's like, no, I've had criticisms of both sides. See,
Yeah.
I think that's something that we could almost say about this. I guess this movement we're forming. We're willing to criticize both sides. We're not just going to
Hmm.
stick to one narrative,
I think we all see that the
because
political ideologies, all ideologies have gone too far, especially in our countries, in America, especially, that the left
oh
right
yeah,
conflict has gone entirely too far to the point where it's almost like, if you watched any of this stuff going on with Gamergate.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah. Have you seen the Sarah Butt stuff where they're defending pedophilia and all this shit?
I have not seen that.
Yeah. Salon Magazine has 2 articles defending pedophilia.
Really?
This is from the left. This is from my party. I will not accept this. I'm sorry, but I'm done. I mean, it's just, okay, you're defending people who are pedophiles that haven't fucked kids. They just think about sexual activities with kids. a lot, but they haven't done anything. Now, that whole article just needed to be thrown with a bunch of the word yets, because it's always yet. I mean, that's like Christianity in certain churches saying, oh, yeah, we accept homosexuals, just not practicing homosexuals. Like, you can think about gay stuff, but don't do it. And sure, people can do that for a while. And then at some point, their greater urges take over, because that's how we're wired.
I'm not going to do this thing I'm always thinking about and
Yeah,
wanting
exactly.
to do.
Precisely. This thing I'm completely sexually obsessed with accomplishing, which is our strongest drive as human beings.
Well,
but I'm never going to do it.
Because earlier you were saying you didn't care what people thought, or as long as it didn't affect you.
Yeah, I do understand that that's something of a paradox to say that and then say I'm not for pedophilia.
It's all good. I understand.
But no, there are certain, and this is another thing I think our side is doing that others aren't. There are certain moral prerogatives that overweigh any sort of verbal dancing we do. Like, our portion of this side would never consider defending pedophilia under any circumstances. I don't think I've met one of these new leftists, if you will, that are like, oh yeah, no, I understand that it's a sexual urge and it's kind of like a fetish. It's just like anything else. It's okay, yeah, no, even if I accept all that, no. Like, okay, yeah, no, fine, yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, it's all a social construct, and technically, even if the children are sexual, and occasionally they are, yeah, no, even if you're right, I'm not willing to live in a world where that's the norm. I mean, I'm just not. I'm not willing to deal with that. And I think many people realize that, in spite of the fact that children awaken sexually at different ages and yada, 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 Europe is as far as I'm willing to take that. I mean, in Spain, I think it's the age of consent's like 13. I mean, that's as low as Spain is willing to go. What are you just gonna let it all go? Even Spain won't let it all go.
Oh, will become Spain. It's funny because I hear a lot, and not so much now, but because gay marriage was legalized, but I did hear a lot before it was that, oh, this is just going to lead to pedophile marriage. This is going to lead to.
And I've started yelling at people. I'm like, you realize you're giving these people ammunition right now, right?
That's the
You're
thing.
literally saying gay people were once stigmatized. Pedophiles are now stigmatized. I'm a pedophile. And I wish that, we weren't stigmatized like the gay people were. I want to choke the life out of that person. You just, compared yourself to homosexuality, which, by the way, is a stigma that homosexual culture has dealt with for fucking ever. That they've been called pederasts forever. I mean, it used to be synonymous. You used to be able to say gay, faggot, and pederast, and they all meant the same thing. They all meant someone that slept with men, and the last one meant that he tended towards younger men. I mean, that's what pederast means. I mean,
I would argue that pedophiles have not had the same level of being stigmatized throughout history.
I would argue that you are completely correct. I would argue that it's
there's regions of the world still where pedophilia is like celebrated.
Large regions, not small regions. Very, very large portions of this world are still occupied by people that
consider
Islamic
countries.
Yeah, and African countries and India, and I mean, central countries. I'm sorry if that's a fact, but 9-year-olds still get married and have sex in India.
Racist.
It happens.
Shameful.
I know, because I'm talking about people with a different skin color than me, and I'm a Neanderthal toilet seat motherfucker. I know.
Let's get some Hebrew Israelites in here to set you straight.
Did you ever see that Black Hitler? You Neanderthal toilet seat complexion having motherfuckers.
I did see that. Oh man. Yeah,
but I grew up around that, so it actually doesn't, like, I've joked with people, like, some people get really uncomfortable with that. It's like, dude, I grew up being called all sorts of racial slurs by Black people and Hispanic people. This was just a norm.
I don't understand even the point of, we aren't that much Neanderthal.
No, but the joke I make with people that makes people very uncomfortable, and it is an edgy joke, if you will, is I think it is interesting to see that all people, including Asiatic people, that have Neanderthal blood went on to create vast civilizations that covered portions of the globe. And those people without Neanderthal gloves still live in mud huts. Um, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying it's an observable fact.
Yeah, I would say that has more to do with European resources
It
and
does. It
kind of
has
the
everything to do
lifestyle
with
they
it.
had.
It does. It has everything to do with it. It's
But
just
yeah,
a
yeah,
joke to make
it
to make
is.
people wildly
I can see
uncomfortable.
how that I would, if the joke's meant to make people uncomfortable, I can see definitely how it would work.
That is the whole purpose of the joke, is to make people's skin crawl. That is, it is the entire purpose, is to watch the reaction of the individual as they go, "Ooh, that sounds so wildly racist," and I'm like, it's just an observed fact. It doesn't. You're taking a correlatory statement as a causatory statement, which to me makes you the racist. That's like people who say atheist Rue is a racist because he says black people commit the majority of murders in America. Full stop. Now what? That's not a racist fact. I mean, it's just a fact. It's an observable fact.
I think we disagree slightly. Like I would say that's not racist, but I would say that some statements that he made, like saying, okay, the black community needs to stop doing this. I would say that that's not full on, but I can see where some people are coming
Yeah,
from.
no, I know. I can understand where it makes people uncomfortable to criticize the behavior of people outside of their own race, given the history in America specifically, of what happened. But to then, the alternative is simply not to talk about it,
Oh
which
yeah,
is what
and
we've done for the
that's
last
just
30
as
years.
bad.
And well, which
That's
is what
just
we've done for the last 30 years, and look where we've gotten with it. Absolutely nowhere. We've ignored the problem. So
Yeah, I mean, it really is as bad to ignore it. There are serious
and some of the
factors
things
and
Atheist
issues.
Rue does is to be inflammatory. That's another thing I don't think people recognize about him, is that he's doing it to piss people off that
Oh yeah,
already have an
clearly.
opinion about him.
I feel like he's probably one of the most successful trolls
Yes, he's
on
King
YouTube.
Troll. Yeah, absolutely. He's King Troll. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's cool, definitely. I actually wanted to switch gears here
Sure.
real
Wherever you
quick.
want to go, man.
I was looking at your channel, and you haven't really been making videos for too long, and I was actually wondering what led you to want to start this particular channel. In unless the however old this channel is, but it says that you started about a month ago, uploading
Uh,
things.
yeah, I started in August.
Okay,
Yeah, August 21st.
he's got the date down and everything.
I just looked before the Hangout, believe it or not, because I tried to remember exactly how
No,
long I've been doing this.
you have a tattoo to your arm.
Yeah, seriously, I got it ingrained. You know how it is. Um, but yeah, no, it was first and foremost frustration. My first video was literally the news article that started the channel for all intents and purposes. When that hit, I've done that growing up. I come from I guess you'd call a mixed race household by marriage. My mom, after the first divorce, married a black guy with 6 kids. Um, he didn't have the kids at the time. It's a whole story of how they ended up coming to live with us and all this fun stuff of his divorce going south and his wife losing her shit. But anyway, so I grew up with this, and I did stuff like I dressed up like in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was very popular for people in the black culture to wear like plaid, but like loose baggy plaid, and then like a plaid matching t-shirt with like a gangster wear t-shirt under that, and cornrows and all that. So one Halloween, I legit went as a black guy. I just showed up at. This is how cool the 2000s were, which is why I don't understand all the racial tension. We went to several house parties in black and white neighborhoods, both, as me just showing up, and they'd be like, "Hey, what's your costume as?" I'm black. That's it. I'm black. I am black. I have cornrows. I'm wearing the right outfit. I didn't go blackface or anything, so my pasty ass just showed up and all beglassed and pasty. And I'm just like, I'm black. I don't understand what the issue is. And everybody laughed. It was a good time. And then nowadays, if you were to do that, there is about a 50-50 chance someone would kick the shit out of you.
I mean, it's interesting because I don't think that kind of attitude would come out of the area that you were in, where it was very mixed. I think that attitude comes out of communities that are either solely white or solely black.
You
Um,
would have been right. But I just went back to Florida, and the racial tension there is through the roof, whereas before there
oh,
was none. I mean, that's what I've told people, that it's the attitude is coming out of insular regions. It's coming out of predominantly white or predominantly black regions, where you can either say, when you ask a white person, let me guess, you don't even have any black friends, and they legit go, fuck no, I don't. Because it's, you know, a 96% black region of America, or white region of America, which exists. There are portions of America that are vast majority white.
I'm in one.
And it's mostly coming out of those regions that people are like, that's where you can really exercise that white guilt. That's where you can really wring out that white guilt, is where you can say, oh yeah, how many black people live in your region? Why isn't your region more equal? Why aren't there more black people around here? Because there's not. There's legitimately just not more black people here. That's why. like
I mean, they're called minorities for a reason.
Yeah.
Most
Which
of
is
the
why I
people in this
have
country are white.
which is why I have a massive problem with women being called minorities.
Yeah, what a joke.
I have a huge problem with that. I'm like, you know, globally they make up 51% of the population. Just by breeding standards, there are more women than men. The human species will always produce more women than men. It's part of our genetic makeup. We need more women than men. If you have one man and 8 women, the species will survive. If you have one woman and 8 men, it will not. I mean, that's just genetics. That's simple genetics. There's a reason that more women are born than men.
That was the most misogynistic thing that has been said on the show. I'm speechless.
I actually am all for it, and I've joked with people about this. I'm actually all for, just for the survival of our species, remaining a gynocentric culture. But to then say that gynocentrism is patriarchy is bizarre. It's not. We are genetically, and I mean, it's a given as a species that we would want to protect that which produces the next generation. And I don't think that makes that's a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. I don't understand people that do. I mean, you're arguing against the furtherance of our species. I don't understand how you can track that.
Some people just want to see us go, I guess. I don't know.
Some people just want to watch the world burn, man.
That's how it works. I do feel that way though. Like they almost have to have some cognitive dissonance there, at least, because they seem to not want to address any real problem. They just want to spend time complaining about things that really don't matter, things that we could probably deal with later. And
yeah, things that shouldn't be so high on the priority docket at all.
I don't understand it. Where do you think that comes from?
Narcissism.
That is possible.
Obviously, I think it's narcissism in most cases, which is why sometimes it's narcissism, and then what Rue says is right. Sometimes it's flat out, I don't want to call white guilt on it, all of it, but it's opposal guilt. It's the same thing that some people pull with Islam, where it's like, yeah, but you know, we've bombed them, and you know, then there was the Crusades and all that. It's like, you guys don't seem to understand the history of this stuff at all. Like you just feel bad because we started keeping records more thoroughly than most other cultures. I mean, it's like the reason we feel so bad about slavery isn't the slavery itself. It's the fact that unfortunately we developed the camera while we still had slaves. That was an unfortunate downside to the slave trade. We should have probably done away with the slave trade before we were able to record physically the evidence of our misdeeds. Because almost every culture on earth has had slaves. I mean, there's not one culture that wasn't formulated on some concept we would now call slavery. But we recorded ours with just unfortunate detail. So now people can hold up pictures of people that were enchained, and they can hold up pictures of people that got lynched. And this is how every culture behaved at the time. And we are currently the only culture that doesn't still behave that way. I mean, like really, the Western cultures, like in those areas that the Western cultures have influenced, are now the only places that don't still behave in that kind of completely xenophobic manner, that completely other ostracizing manner. I mean, go to mainland China. Really, go to mainland China and see how well you're treated.
I don't think I want to go, honestly, but maybe.
You don't. The people in Hong Kong call them mainlanders because they do shit like shit on floors, like in supermarkets and stuff. And they'll call you a subhuman piece of trash because you're white. Because white people are, I mean, they use the same insults. White people are Neanderthals. So ironically, because they have half of the Neanderthal material that white people do, but since we're at like, what is it, 3% or some shit, we're Neanderthals, and because they're at like 1.5%, they're not quite as Neanderthal.
Yeah, that's what an insult. Yeah, my genetic makeup.
I
I'm so
know
ashamed.
it's bizarre. It really and truly is
Well,
bizarre thinking.
how desperate does someone have to be to like I don't know, just stick these identities onto people like, "Oh, you're this, I'm
Or
this."
oppositionally, how desperate do you have to be to, okay, before the year 2014, the concept of a quote unquote white identity had never even crossed my mind. I
Yeah,
did.
it
What the fuck are you
barely. I
talking
don't think
about?
it
I mean,
crosses my mind ever, to tell you the truth. Like I couldn't.
well, no, I mean, it comes up in conversation now.
Okay,
People accuse me of, oh, it's because you have white identity or you identify white. It's this whole people culture is inherently white supremacist and all this fun stuff. Like, but before 2015, I never once considered a white identity. I'm not saying that I consider like, oh, I have white identity now. I just mean, but it's because you feel black identity or Hispanic identity that you insist I must feel white identity. It didn't start from me. It wasn't me going, hey, I'm white. That's never entered the conversation. Like,
it seems really unimportant to me. Like I don't know.
exactly.
I probably have a different history because I am from the doomed generation. I think you called us or something.
Mhm.
The completely fucked up generation. I would say that there are obviously a lot of people in my generation who are very leftist. But I would say overall there just really wasn't a sense of racism. It's not something that we grew up thinking.
No, no, it
Like
wasn't even something. It was something to be condemned. I mean, and
I've known people of all races throughout my life, and like I could not have possibly cared less. It's
mm-mm.
just how things are. But some people do feel the need to make a big deal about it and separate groups, groups that are only separated by the most superficial thing possible.
Exactly, and that's not something our generation or my generation, and apparently that you living in Wyoming put you a couple years behind what I was watching. Um, it's not something we did. It's not. It was. If you said a sentence like, "Hey, um, hey, can you go talk to him?" Who? Oh, that black kid over there. No one would have gone, "Oh, is that what you're going to call him, that black kid?" Like it's just an
I
identifier.
don't see how
It,
that's racist, but
it, it was. Some people will call that racist now.
oh, you're just reducing him to his
Exact. To his
race.
blackness. You're
It's like,
reducing
well,
him to his blackness.
it's the most obviously, it's the first thing you kind of notice. Like that's the first
Well,
thing.
and let me tell you, I wouldn't use that descriptor if I were pointing to one guy in a group of black people. I would then have to choose another adjective.
That's true because
It
when
was
they say
simply the
like,
adjective
oh,
of least. It was the adjective of least resistance.
yeah, go talk to, go say that to that black guy. It's generally going to be in a place where there aren't that many black guys.
Correct. It'll be in an area in
Because
which you'll be like,
otherwise, how
oh,
are they gonna
otherwise, yeah,
know?
exactly. So it's not like you point to a whole group of black guys and go, hey, go talk to that black guy. Which one? The black one. Like that's not what you that's not a descriptor at
I
that
don't
time.
know, man. They all look the same to me.
Now, if you use it like that, now we have a problem. Like if you were to say, I don't know, one of those black dudes over there, just that the black guys, like okay, see now we have an issue.
The
But when
guy
you
with
say it,
the
when you're
shirt
trying to address,
on,
yeah, exactly.
he's got hair.
Yeah,
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 that guy.
exactly. People just want us to be completely nondescript, except, and I've noticed this
Oh,
pattern too.
and
They want you to not recognize race unless it's convenient.
we can't say guy either. We have to say
Hmm.
the individual over there. The
I
person.
can't say the word individual. I mean, it's ever since I heard Brett Keane talk saying the
Individual.
word certain individuals. Oh,
Uh,
Brett Keane,
is
kill
one of
yourself.
them
Oh God.
individual situations.
Oh God.
Oh my god.
Yeah, between him and Creationist Cat, I don't know what to
God,
do
I'm
with
glad
that.
we watched the same shit. That's awesome.
Yeah. I don't I've watched Brett Keane a couple times, but I subscribed to his channel briefly simply to try and find material to make fun of, and then realized I couldn't get through a single Brett Keane video to actually make fun of it.
I mean, it seems like most of them are 6-hour hangouts now, so good luck.
Oh, I know. And that's something I actually have a problem with. Have you seen any of the stuff I did with Pacific?
I have not.
It's okay. It's a very, very small audience. Oh, it's actually the largest hits I get, but it's a very specific audience that watches
I'm so
those.
well researched on my guest here. You know, I really know what's up.
Yeah, well, Pacific is a middle-aged white man that sits in his pantry without his shirt on mainly and rants about Jesus and how much women hate him. It is one of
Awesome.
the saddest, most insane people I've ever seen in my life. Like sometimes you'll watch him and
I
it's
see
funny.
you have a lot of videos about him.
Yeah, yeah, I did one and then he
You know,
responded.
it's sad because at first I wasn't sure about his gender.
Mm.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm terrible. I'm
No,
terrible.
that's fair from a couple of the shots, man. No, he does come off looking and basically sounding like an angry bull dyke. So, I mean, it's completely understandable.
Anyway, tell me about this person. What's up with that?
He's a crazy person, and he sits in pantries and closets, but he has a tendency towards long videos. He has a tendency like I won't. I'll try not to do videos that take me longer than an hour to actually produce out. Like not like to what the final product will be no more than an hour. I try and keep it under that.
Hmm.
He has no such reservations. I mean, 3.5 hours, three and 3/4 of an hour was one where he's literally sitting in a closet surrounded by clothes, lighted by the slats and the lighting that comes in through that, and it's really bizarre, ranting about Jesus and how American women are evil and how obsessed with Asian women he is because they're so much more docile and willing to deal with a manly man like Pacific, who, by the way, is without a doubt a closeted homosexual. I don't care, but he is without a doubt a closeted homosexual who
Well,
rants on
he's
about how
actually he's a
evil.
pantried homosexual then.
Yeah, but he rants on about how evil homosexuality is, and then occasionally it slips in his language that it's because he himself has homosexual thoughts and he's trying to find an explanation for them that isn't that he's gay. He's stuff like it's the food I eat, it's the media, it's music, it's
Oh, that's
because
always
he
sad.
put
That's
gay
sad to
thoughts
see.
in his head. They put gay thoughts in his head. And it's like, dude, no, you just want to S some D. I mean, just go S some D, dude. Like no one cares. No, you'd actually get more YouTube followers. You're a shirtless,
That's true.
skinny dude. You're a shirtless, hairless, skinny dude. If you said I like sucking dick, you'd have 10,000 YouTube followers in a night.
Boom. Actually, I was thinking about trying that. Let's see if that works.
Let's go the whole shirtless gay angle and see if it works
Yeah,
out.
I
I mean,
mean, I'll start sitting in the pantry and see the viewers just trickle in
fucking
after that.
Jacqueline Glenn and Lacey Green have followings essentially because they have tits. I mean, that's how fair is that? I mean, you want to talk about a preference in gender?
I mean, you know, I see it a lot with a lot of popular YouTubers. You know, they have to be a certain look, like, oh, you know, reasonably attractive, um, clean shaven for the most part, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
It sells.
yeah, exactly. And it's like the only outlier is the amazing atheist, and he's got the tits too. So
Hey, that's why I subbed.
yeah, I'm actually I'm somewhat a wavering fan. I kind of view them as the same way as I view like Devin, where they're just funny. I mean, if you take anything they say or do a little too seriously, then that's on you. I mean,
Yeah.
the guys to watch and take seriously are dudes like Vernaculus or um,
Oh yeah,
Sargon of
certainly.
Cod.
It's I mean, but I would say for the most part, all of that content you just mentioned isn't supposed to be taken seriously.
Well, I'd say have you watched Vernaculus?
Oh no, I didn't mean him though.
Yeah, no, okay, yeah, all the other stuff is a gag. Yeah, Vernaculus is trying to become a reporter. I'm fairly certain, in his own way, shape, or form, he's trying to become a reporter.
Cool. But anyway, I do find that this interesting. So this specific person, do you know them in some
Mm-mm.
way?
No, I he popped up randomly. I searched for feminism, and he popped up ranting against feminism and how it's destroyed women. But he only says something rational for about 30 seconds in the beginning, and then he just goes completely haywire. I mean,
That's
he just
awesome.
completely jumps off, and he's clearly lonely. He's been burned. He moves around. He's been like a school bus driver, but he's also lived in Southeast Asia somehow. I'm not sure how one gets there and back on a school bus driver's salary. I don't.
Maybe he was a school bus driver there.
I guess. He gets used by people. He did one video in a bathtub trying to get more viewers. I mean, he is just a bizarre, twisted kind of guy. I mean, it's funny sad to watch him. It's
Has
funny on
he
one hand. Yeah,
has
he
he ever
spirals.
responded
Oh yeah,
to?
he actually got really pissed off the first time I made a video and responded to me quite directly. He used my name in the title. Yeah.
It's awesome. Because I wondered what you thought about that, because I would say that I have formed a number of internet rivalries. Like there are people specifically who I look out for content to make, because we're kind of, we're, I don't hate them personally, but we are kind of internet nemesis almost, and it seems really silly. But what do you think about that? Do you feel that way sometimes
Well,
about?
to me, it is silly because everything I do on here is kind of silly.
Yeah.
I don't really mean a lot of some of the things I say, especially if I shoot them live, which are the obviously you can tell the difference between the
Well,
ones I've
you heard
edited.
it here, folks. All of what this man has said lies. Didn't mean a single word of it.
Yeah, no, especially when I shoot them live, it's on the fly. So I might make a mistake and not edit it out, or I might say something that refuted your point that isn't necessarily a personally held belief. It's playing devil's advocate. I do that a lot because I think everyone needs that. I think that's what happened to the left. What happened is they stopped listening to their devil's advocates. They just started going, oh, well, whatever that guy on the stage said is right. And the guy in the back of the room that was going, well, he had a couple of good points, but some of the other stuff he said was extreme. Get him out of the room. You're like, oh, see, that's the problem. You can't do that part.
I would argue it's a problem because the right wing became so crazy and hard to take seriously that the left didn't have a proper opponent to hold it accountable.
No, no. And it flooded the ranks. So as opposed to once upon a time, the left was an intellectual's place to be. It was, all the college educated and people like that were
Not anymore.
no, well, not only that, but it's the same thing with quote unquote intellectualism. How many people have college degrees that frankly shouldn't?
Too many. And
I mean, how many people have you met with degrees and things that you're like, that's a degree you can get, like a communications degree is a thing?
yeah, you made a video very recently called "The Future of Feminism Is Today."
Yes,
I watched that one. And I know the girl. I don't remember her name. But she was saying like, oh yeah, I'm majoring in women's studies and I'm minoring in communications.
that shouldn't be a thing. Colleges, uni-fucking-versities should have nothing to do with that.
I don't know what to say. I mean,
this is the same place where, there are other colleges where they're testing CERN machines. There are other, for fuck's sake, they're slamming atoms into each other. And you're getting a liberal arts degree? Like I said in it, I'm a philosophy major. But
I really can't judge. I'm currently studying film, but
yeah,
I
did philosophy with a minor. I did philosophy with a minor in film because I wanted to do what my teacher was doing, which was he actually worked with big studios, which I didn't know was even a job, but would describe philosophical ideals to inject into the script to make them seem deeper. That's a job.
That's awesome.
He worked with The Matrix. That was part of him. Part of his job was to explain things philosophically, like the allegory of the cave, and how to inject that into your movie to make it more enticing. I'll do that job.
I'm gonna make this really deep.
Exactly. I'll do that job. He got $12,000 for that fucking gig. Sure, no problem. But philosophy was the root of all the sciences. It's where every science has come from. It still is where new sciences come out of.
I would argue that philosophy is pretty useless when we're not even allowed to have a discourse about the ideas.
Which is one of the reasons I'm motivated to make my channel. I grew up debating. I grew up literally arguing ideas. And the idea that you can't do that anymore because it offends people, that's 101. We used to literally run people out of classes by telling them that. If any idea offends you, you are welcome to leave. Goodbye. Like we're done here. And he would start, my teacher in particular would start debates offensively. He would start a debate with a topic that no one wanted to talk about. That was his whole thing. So I was trained for this. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would, whenever I see that, I want to explore why that offends people. And, that's not just something I see on the left. I do see that with extremely religious people as well. Like, oh, you drew Muhammad. That offends me. It's like, why does that offend you?
Mm-hmm.
Is it really
Because
on me that offended
you were
you?
told to be offended by it. That's why it offends you.
I just want people to think for themselves and not being offended. No one should be offended, really. Like,
No,
why? What is even the point of being offended?
no, offended is a made up concept. I mean, like Christopher
Social
Hitchens says,
construct.
like Christopher Hitchens says, it's never given, it's taken. You took offense. That's your problem. Like I grew up being called all kinds of offensive things. I mean, that was once upon a time I was a fat kid. Once upon a time I was a beglassed fat kid. So let me tell you, there's no kind words to be had for the chubby white kid with glasses. There's nothing there. So you learn just not to be offended. Like if you were offended every time a slight were done against you, your whole life would be that. And these kids are being told that that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to point out every time someone says something that even mildly offends you.
I mean, heck, like we were talking earlier, like when I do get these names thrown at me, like, oh, you're a misogynist, oh, you're a rape apologist.
Mm-hmm.
Now all I feel is, well, I'm not. These people clearly don't know anything about me as a person. So I'm not going to let them drag me down because those words do not apply to me. They don't describe me at all.
Exactly. Exactly. See,
I'm
that's
not really gonna get upset. I'll get
how
upset,
old are
but I'm
you,
not
by the
gonna
way?
whine over it.
How old are you, by the way?
I'm 20.
See, that is a rational fucking thought. What's that doing coming out of a 20-year-old? We're
I really don't know, because to tell you the truth, for a couple of years I was a right wing Christian.
yeah.
Yeah, I come from an extremely religious background.
Oh, well, let's get into that. What broke that cycle?
It's interesting. I don't know. I think a lot of it had to do with a couple social issues. Like I'd found myself backed into a corner about the LGBT thing.
Okay.
Like people really questioning me, like, and I stuck to it for a long time. Like, oh, that's a sin, that's wrong. But eventually it does get to the point where you have to confront that, no
Oh,
matter how.
sin, another word I hate.
Yeah, I mean, and that's part of the reason I think I have some sympathy for religious people, because I understand when you're in that cycle, when you have that ingrained in you
Yeah,
from birth. It's horrible. It's
it
horrible. They
is.
can make
It
you
is.
think
I
anything.
believe it's child abuse. I mean, I'm right up there with people that say that that's a form of child abuse. I'm not saying there's anything we can do about it. I'm saying that we need to spread the cultural meme that it's not a great idea to indoctrinate children.
It really humbles me, because I would say throughout my life I considered myself to be smart enough. Like I was good at school. I don't know. I just thought I was smart enough. I had enough brains to get by.
Yeah,
But above average IQ. But that means nothing when people spend your entire life lying to you
correct. I
and
mean,
telling you what to think.
you're talking about what in a book series called Ishmael is called Mother Culture, and it has been ingrained in you, and it whispers in the background without you even knowing it. And once you realize that, you can start to see that it's not necessarily real. It's just something that you've been told is real because it's how society's ordered.
I mean, I'll put it this way: like when it is super ingrained in you, and someone does start making an argument against you, or just not even towards you, an argument that you just happen to disagree with, you will instantly dismiss them,
Yeah.
because it does not go with the narrative that has been set in your head.
And that's the irony that these feminists don't seem to see that they have, that it's the same level of othering, which is what you're describing, that they're supposedly fighting against, that they
It's
do to
just as
people.
bad. I don't see how they could possibly. I almost see them as an extension of the right wing,
I do
extreme
that
religion.
because they're authoritarian. It's you see the authoritarianism, you see the wrong think, right think
Yeah,
variation.
these people aren't progressives. They don't believe
No,
in
they fucking aren't.
liberalism and freedom.
No. No, they aren't, and they don't. No.
It's
No, they
ridiculous.
horrify me because they're also a kind of a symptom of, in my opinion, of the disease that we have here in the West of not wanting to understand certain scientific principles, not wanting to deal with globalization is another issue that I don't think most people are recognizing, that one of the issues that feminism is globalization. Not that it's a bad thing, it's a bad thing in how it's being handled. It's a bad thing that it's globalization by guilt. And it's the same tactics that feminists use. It's the same tactics that the Black Lives Matter movement uses. It's the same movement that Islamists use. We poor Muslims are so downtrodden. Don't defend us. I mean, it's bizarre. It's deeply bizarre that the tactic has started to work. Once upon a time, that tactic would have never worked.
Yeah, it is strange. It does seem to have had a bit of a rebirth in terms of that, but also something that I've found interesting. I think you'll probably have a similar experience, but when you find yourself up against people who are very leftist and very quote unquote progressive, you find yourself agreeing with people on the right who you never thought you'd agree with. Do you say you found that too?
Yeah, I actually did it in my private life where I ended up passionately defending someone I loathe. Um, Ben Carson. I ended
Oh my
up passionately
god. Oh
defending.
fuck.
Listen, him saying it would, and him saying out loud, it would be a good idea not to stand in a line and let a gunman shoot you, is not a bad thing to teach the
Yeah, I mean,
populace.
actually, I agree. That was
Anyone
actually
who
good.
argues that you should be a sheep, fuck off. You're literally saying when a gunman comes in, just try and talk him down. Now, if this were, as the example that's been used against him, a robbery, yes, try not to get shot and talk to the robber. If this is someone that comes in armed to the teeth, deciding that they're going to kill motherfuckers for the sake of killing motherfuckers, someone needs
Yeah,
to act.
bank robbers generally don't want to have blood on their
No, they
hands.
traditionally can't afford the attention. If you rob a bank and you go away and you didn't kill anyone and they didn't manage to mark the bills, nothing happens. You're done. That's the end of the crime. If you kill someone in the act of that, they will find you. I mean, it's a priority bump when it comes to who's handling your case. Now it's gone from standard detective to homicide detective, and he takes his job more seriously. As someone that's dealt with several homicide detectives in my life, not directly in my crimes, but that I've literally sat down and been like, listen, we know that you're involved in criminal activity. We don't care. We could give no fucks. We need the truth. And we don't care what criminal activity was going on around the activity that happened. Someone is dead. Tell us what happened. And no charges are filed. I respect cops like that. I cooperate with cops like that. I'm against the war on drugs, but I'm not against police. And I don't see how people can be against police in an
Yeah, I mean
organized society.
that's another great example where I think the left's gone too far. Like it's completely counterproductive to demonize all police officers.
Yeah, and I was guilty of it no more than, I mean, I'm not a hero. As someone that had uh
This feels like
negative
a confession booth.
experiences. No, as someone that had negative experiences with police, I have some negative biases against police. And
I understand.
my own cousin became a correctional officer for the federal government. And I made the mistake in an argument at some point of calling him a guard dog. It was in response to being pejoratively labeled myself, but still, it didn't. It's my family, and I probably shouldn't have called him a guard dog and dehumanized the position. But they are guard dogs at this point, unfortunately, because they're not guarding anyone of value. They're not actually keeping scourge off the streets. They're keeping poor people off the streets.
Yeah, it seems like, and I don't want to generalize, especially because of what I just said, but it does seem like so much more effort of the police is spent on just fucking with people who can't
Yes,
fight back than
yes,
actually going after
and
criminals.
the problem I have is that that statement is true, and it's just like the opposite statement about the African American community. It has nothing to do with them being police. They have to do the job they were told to do. We need to fight policy. If the policy isn't stop and frisk, if the policy isn't arrest people for minor drug offenses, then the policing changes inherently. So you can't be mad at the police officers who
I mean,
are
I just say
required.
the real solution is implement some consequences to their actions and it will stop. Like,
Yes and no, because we already do. We already do tend to prosecute police officers that have willfully violated the law. Now it's that willfully part that's hard to prove in court.
haha,
You see
loophole.
what I'm saying? That's no,
Oh,
it's just it's because
that's ridiculous.
they come into what's known as egregious contact with the public. If you were to do, people are always like, yeah, well, if I were have done something, the cop, that the cop did, I would have been arrested. Well, yeah, you're not a cop. Like we give them certain privileges as cops. That's a fact.
Yeah,
We
if
simply
I
do.
if I would have shot someone, well, it's not your job to really.
It's not your job to enforce the
Not part
law. That's their fucking job. Does it mean that occasionally they have to become physically involved with suspects? Yes, obviously. The fact that we have to explain this now makes me sad. Because again, as what I would self-describe as an ex-criminal, I knew I was coming into contact with the law, and when I did so, I did not resist arrest. You don't do that. It's not worth it. This is what we pay these stupid fucks for. Most of them barely graduated high school. I mean, I'm not being mean, but beat cops are not the brilliant people out there. They're just not.
No.
Detectives are very smart people. Beat cops are essentially the laborers of the police force, and I don't think many people recognize that. I think they're expecting entirely too much from a very thinly spread police force in this country. I mean,
Yeah, we have in our minds some ideal, perfect, good-looking, nice cop.
yeah,
They take who they can get for a lot of the time. Like
correct.
they need people on the force.
And the job has lost all its glamour. That's the other aspect.
Yeah, they
No
need
one.
people. They need people who are tough and can beat the shit out of people. And those
Yeah,
people
well,
are
and the
probably not going to be the most
exactly.
enlightened.
They're not going to be enlightened. They're not going to be super bright. They're going to be a bunch of ex-football players, and I'm an ex-football player. They're going to be a bunch of ex-football players and stuff like that. I'm an outlier in a lot of things, but that's who you get. Not to mention, like I said, we're a big country with a large population, and we have to be policed. That's a standard thing. But to understand that, and then to go like, oh well, look at how the UK has its police force. Like the UK is a fucking minuscule country. I mean, it's very small and its population is very low, and they don't have guns. Now, I don't want to be the UK. I like that we have guns in America. It doesn't make it more dangerous. Fuck yeah. But I'd prefer to live in the Wild West than as a tamed society. I just would. I mean, I know that's just a personal preference issue, but I'd prefer to live Wild West style than I would ever prefer to live in a cage.
I mean that's it's interesting because after the recent Oregon shooting, I got entangled in some internet arguments with conservatives about some gun control issues.
Mm-hmm.
Because that became a big issue. But before I could really even state opinion, people who know that I tend to lean towards the left, they're like, "Oh, he just wants to take my guns," and it's like
Yeah.
this is just another example of people on the far left really just tainting the reputation of this movement that I'm a part of. So
Yeah.
before I've even said anything, assumptions are made about my position. I don't want to take away people's guns. I think people should have guns. I'm just saying that we should probably check who we're selling them to. Like that's
Yes.
it. That
No,
that is it.
basically the only loophole I'm willing to concede to is the private sale loophole. One step beyond that, and I'm with the gun nuts. I just am. I mean, one step beyond close the loophole that I'm aware of, which is that you can privately sell a gun in a McDonald's parking lot with no background check. Um, I have a problem with that. Even I understand that that's probably not genius. But aside from that,
Yeah, someone buying a gun in that kind of circumstance, they're not buying it for a good
yeah, and
reason.
I mean technically it's the gun show loophole, but the gun show loophole is just what it's called because technically you can come to my house and buy my gun, and that's completely legal. There's nothing that can be done about that. I think that that's probably not a great idea. Now, the problem with implementing that is it means that you legitimately have to register with the state every firearm that exists, which currently isn't the case. Now,
That's
not
quite the task ahead of
and
us, I
there's and
guess.
I'll tell you, there's not. You live in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Go over and ask your neighbor how many guns
Oh,
he has. Just ask him casually. I know this from experience. So, how many guns do you have? Usually the answer I got was enough, or that's not the literal answer I got from the first person I asked, which was the father of my girlfriend who I was staying there with. Um, I said, "So how many guns do you have?" Because he like pulled a pistol out from between seat cushions and the couch, and he's like an 85-year-old retiree. But I said, "So, sir, exactly how many guns do you have?" He goes, "Son, around here, that's just not a polite question." Motherfucker, what?
Obama's coming for him.
Enough of them apparently, and that's the second one I got. I asked his son, and his son's answer was, "Oh, we got enough." The fuck does enough
Yeah,
mean?
just in case we're raided.
Yeah, the fuck does enough mean?
Oh, 17.
No, oh Jesus, man, he had 17 in the safe. No shit, this dude had Wyoming rednecky types, man. He had two gun
Oh
safes in
man.
his house, man. One in the garage, one in his house, and then
I mean,
guns not in
I
the front.
feel like such an odd duck out here because I currently don't own a gun.
Yeah, and
It's
I
I
imagine
don't
you
know.
probably are an outlier statistically.
Yeah, I mean there aren't that many liberals out here.
No.
Which is amazing why it's amazing that the feminists and SJW thing pisses me off as much as it does because I'm saturated with conservative bullshit, but I see enough of the SJW stuff online that I don't know if I really feel its effects.
Yeah, and I mean, my dad's like a Republican voting guy, lives in Florida. I mean, all that fun stuff.
That's
Even
okay.
he's seen some of this stuff and been like, "What is with these people?" Like, they're legitimately willing to just go, "Okay, even if that is a biological fact, it makes me uncomfortable, so fuck off." Like, who does that?
Once you've embraced the mentality of the truth offends me, like if you don't value truth, I don't know what to say to you. Like what common ground could we possibly find when I think truth is probably the
Empirically
most
gained.
important one.
Yeah, when truth can be empirically gained and your truth is intrinsic, I don't know how to argue with you.
I mean, I hear it all the time. Like, oh, don't you, you can't offend other people's religions because their truth is just different than your truth. It's like no, there's one truth. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand how can there be more
Yeah,
than
there's
one
one
truth?
truth if there is a truth, and the rest of it is unknown ambiguity.
Yeah, it's we don't just all get our own little worlds where we're safe from criticism
Well, no,
and
that's what they're
we're
going
right
for.
about
That's what they
everything.
want, man. That's what they want. That is legitimately
Well,
their utopian future. That is,
I refuse to let them have it because
I
that's
agree.
ridiculous.
I agree. No, I did a video called the Church of Black Feminism.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I did not watch that one. What was that one about?
that was a young lady who was literally saying out loud that the subjective experiences of the individual trumped reality. Just is more important than.
What?
Is more
I'm gonna have to
important
check
than.
that out.
I mean,
Huh.
she says several things in that vein, where essentially what she is saying is that we are forming a movement based on unreality. It's based on feeling, and it's based on the experiences of individuals expressed in roundtable format, forming
You
a
mean
movement.
the experience of individuals?
Individuals,
Individuals
but specifically individuals of the black female persuasion.
of the situation.
Oh God!
Oh
Do you
man.
watch the Drunken Peasants?
I do, yes.
Yeah, I can't help it, and I know that if Devin ever got a hold of this tape, he'd rip me a new asshole. But I do
Yeah,
think that they are funny people. I think
I stand
I think
firm.
the feud between those two was entirely defensive on the part of TJ.
Yeah, I
simply
can feel
not
that.
wanting to catch the same label because they have the same behavior. TJ makes anti-Islamic videos. TJ makes somewhat,
Anti-
as a matter
yeah.
of fact, I would argue that TJ makes more racist remarks than Devin does. TJ and his brother make some serious. Like my brother and I were watching him one day, and we were like, "Dude, if you said that in Florida, a black guy would have popped you, dude." Like that would have been, and we would have all been like, "Yeah, you deserve that shit." Like, yeah, you know, you get that. That's what you get. You don't get to say that. And he's done shit like that. Whereas Devin has never said something racist. He has said things that make people intentionally uncomfortable, but it's not racist. It's just not. Whereas TJ has
I
actually said
stand
racist stuff.
firm. I stand firm that I think Devin's actually going to go on at some point because I think it's settled down to the point. I've actually heard the drunken peasants compliment him every now and then. You
Yeah, they
know,
did the last
it
time. It was
feels
so funny
the
that to watch
feud.
them.
The feud is it. It was almost just a show. It was just
It
like, hey,
was.
let's have an internet feud, almost
It
just to get.
was. And again, on TJ's part, he simply did not want to be labeled racist, which I totally understand his reaction to the fear of being categorized alongside him and then being labeled racist.
I mean, yeah, no one wants that,
No,
definitely.
no, and he has okay, Devin's fucking around. Devin is fucking around. He has a job, he has a career, none of this matters to him. If the Amazing Atheist channel closes tomorrow, that man's future is in peril. You know what I mean? Like this is how he makes money. The Drunken Peasants is how he makes money. This is how he makes his living.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.
he's called a racist and his channel views plummet and he no longer gets advertising revenue or any of that. He's in real trouble. So he needed to, for commercial reasons, distance himself from Devin. I totally get it. I totally understand capitalism. There's no problem with that.
Gotta make a living, definitely.
Yeah, and like I said, he makes his living from the Amazing Atheist channel and from the Drunken Peasants podcast. So if he were to be labeled racist by people who are smearing Devin as being an ally of Devin's, then he'd lose his living. He'd lose his livelihood. So I get it.
Yeah, definitely a possibility. Um, I was gonna ask, in terms of the videos you've made, what thing have you covered that made you angriest?
Oh, um,
I don't know. I probably sprung that on you
let me think.
unexpectedly.
I'd have to give it a tie between uh, uh, the Hebrew Israelites
Oh my god.
that really do make me very angry, because they're literally doing the same thing that white people did 180 years ago to validate their own racism.
Look, yeah, look, my religion it confirms that my race is better than yours.
Yeah, do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
And
it's
that
ridiculous.
makes me so angry. I can barely. Some of those times, there's a reason I've never done one of those videos live. That's all I can say. There's a reason I've had to edit myself into those videos as opposed to just hit click and play because the anger levels that I get the first few times through are too high. They're just it's rage. It's literally if you
Yeah.
watched like the Ragening where they go on rants for 3 minutes about a 30-second portion, that will be me just screaming into a microphone about how stupid and backwards you are.
It's funny because on this channel I actually do have an enemy who is Hebrew Israelite.
It was
I'll
funny.
have
I've
to.
made 2 videos about them and neither one of those motherfuckers stuck around. They both hit the channel hard when I first made the video, but they never came back.
They're scared. They don't want to look. They don't want to waste their time talking to a Neanderthal.
Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't matter because when God comes back, he's going to enslave white man, and let the black man rule as king like he's supposed to. Don't you understand? Like, don't you know that when we captured them, they was kings and queens in Africa, and we captured the kings and queens in Africa and drug them over to America. That's what happened, yo.
Oh yeah, we did that. Us specifically.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
no.
remember
My
that
favorite, my
actually.
favorite paradigm to explain to people is the way it went down was European explorers landed on the African coastline. In the course of their exploring, they revealed to the natives and locals that they had cool, shiny stuff. Okay, they had cool, shiny stuff and boomsticks. Now, the natives wanted cool, shiny stuff and boomsticks to help further their warlord aspirations, as all people had at the time. You see, we traded those. They didn't have any resources we wanted. So when we went to them and they said, hey, so what do you want? And they said, hey, we have cola nut. We said, well, we don't have any use for cola nut. We don't want that. Well, we have this. We don't want that. We have people. We have slaves. Can I have guns for these people? We said, we'll find a use for them. That's how that went down. White people didn't show up on the shore and start going with big net guns and start shooting them at the natives who were sitting in peace otherwise. That's not how it went down. Yeah. We were sold them by other kings in these regions that wanted
that's how it worked. I mean,
they wanted fucking boomsticks.
We didn't really, for the most part, I said we again. I probably shouldn't say that, but white.
No, we's fine because we're accused of it, so fuck it, own it.
Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, like you said, just embrace it. But white people didn't, for the most part, didn't go too far inland because there were slavers who gathered slaves and sold them at the ports. It's
not to mention it was dangerous.
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly a welcoming region.
Into the Congo now.
It wasn't a welcoming region. Okay, it wasn't like you could walk into Kenya as a white guy and they were like, "Hey, come sit by the fire." That's not how it worked. Okay,
that's awesome. No, it was all for boomsticks. Boomsticks,
and ironically later the trade tobacco.
Nice,
but nobody saw the irony there yet. But you were picking this tobacco. Don't ask.
Oh man. Yeah, don't ask.
The modern equivalent to how'd your cell phone get made? Don't ask.
Yeah, just the stork dropped it off.
Yes, Asian children made it. That's how it got made.
What? Who?
Yeah. That's why I don't own a smartphone.
Maybe I have Asian guilt.
Oh, is that what's going on?
You were saying the Hebrew Israelites, but they tied with someone else who pissed you off too.
Anita Sarkeesian.
Oh Jesus fucking Christ!
I did her UN thing. Yeah. Wow. Anita Sarkeesian is just an anti-person. She's just an anti-person, not an unperson, because that would be erasing them. No, there's matter and then there's anti-matter. Anita Sarkeesian is an anti-person. When she comes into contact with other people, she sucks their very force away from them. I don't understand.
Yeah, there's probably a nice Anita Sarkeesian walking around somewhere. Like
unfortunately, there's like an Anita Sarkeesian on Bizarro World that's actually preaching equality and love amongst the people in a society completely surrounded by people that are feminists. I guess the Bizarro World metaphor fell apart. What can I say?
That would be a sight. Definitely. Oh man.
But yeah, the Hebrew Israelites are a trip. I wouldn't consider the Nation of Islam really someone I've come at, because the video I did with them and the Hebrew Israelites, I was actually shaming the Hebrew Israelites. When the Nation of Islam comes off as the reasonable, rational ones in a debate, you've really fucked up. I mean, you have really let go.
You know what? Just for that, I am going to I'll send you some videos of my Hebrew Israelite pal, and I'll let you can tell me what you think about that.
Oh God, please do. I'd love to see these guys. The only reason, and this is honest, I've intentionally not made habits of attacking them, whereas I've made habits of attacking like Pacific, simply because I know if I made a concerted effort to attack Hebrew Israelites, I would simply be called racist. I mean, there's no other.
You just go after privileged white guys, and
I'll be fine. Yeah, and that's the safe way to go. But I simply didn't early on feel comfortable, and my little brother was talking to me about it, and he's like, "Hey, so you should probably stay with these guys because they're answering you." And I was like, "What? And be the guy that just bashes a religion based on black people are cool?" Like that's going to be hard for me to get away with for very long. Like, just realistically speaking, it's going to be hard for me to bash Hebrew Israelites only on my channel like I do on every Friday. I do a release with Pacific. If I were to do that with the Hebrew Israelites, my channel would get banned. He's attacking all black people. It's like, no, all these guys who are part of the Hebrew Israelite movement think that they are literally God's chosen people. Like, unfortunately, Sam Harris and Hitler hold a similar view. The Torah is indeed the root of all this nasty garbage we see in Abrahamic religions.
Yeah, we seem to give it a pass, probably too often.
I don't, but in polite company, I have flat been called. And this is ironic because there's one guy I deal with who is a pro-Palestinian guy who I work with at a TV station, who's extremely pro-Palestinian to the point where he goes, any terrorist act committed by Hamas is allowed because they are an oppressed peoples that have been wrongfully yada yada yada. And yet,
Yeah,
at the
too
same
far,
time,
too far.
at the same time, by other people, I'm called an anti-Semite because I think the Torah should be burned alongside the Bible and the Quran, because it itself says people that are not of the book are to be treated as animals. It says all the same stoning principles. It says all the same hideous shit.
I mean, I don't even understand why that shouldn't be allowed, because
Holocaust.
so often you'll be like, you'll question the Bible and they'll be like, oh, that's the Old Testament, that's bad, we don't follow that. It's like, well, what about the Jews then, because they do follow that is their book.
I know, but if you say that and explain it in those terms, people get really upset. I mean, they get really upset. Like, again, I've seen some Islamist propaganda posters, and one of them that actually caught my eye was a Jewish person holding a pistol up to the whole world, and the pistol was just labeled Holocaust. It's like, well, there is something to that. Like, unfortunately, there is something to that. Like, that some people do use that in an abusive manner, the same way that African Americans say slavery. It's the same slavery.
Yeah,
the same way right-wing politicians say 9/11. I mean, it's the same recall. You're trying to use a tragedy as an emotional leverage. I mean,
I did have a conversation recently with someone who was pro-Palestinian, who I'm actually hoping to get probably on here someday too, kind of in the format we're doing. But yeah, that point was,
invite me back for that.
that point was brought up that about the Holocaust, because that sucks. I understand, and I'm not like,
I'm not
downplaying
the
Holocaust.
No. I'm not downplaying the Holocaust. I'm simply saying that any tragedy can be abused by future generations.
It's no excuse for the actions of people today on either side.
Correct.
Like, it comes down to the problem of people identifying too much with something, like, oh, we're an oppressed people, we were wronged. It's like,
and you see the parallel
specifically.
You see the parallel being drawn intentionally when Palestine and the Black Lives Matter movement, all that, got together for the Million Man's March. I mean, they're clearly using the exact same tactics with that.
I watched a video recently where they were having Americans who were involved in the Black Lives Matter
go to Palestine.
I was watching that, and I was like, it really
there's some irony to that, because these people are fighting against police and police brutality, and then going over to Palestine to learn from them, where our police go over to learn from the IDF. And who's winning? I mean, really, so why are you...
The thing that got to me, though, was like, I just found it so pathetic that Americans, for us to even care about problems in other countries, we had to draw some equivalency to our problems.
Yeah, specifically.
It's like, I'm sorry, I understand they're both problems, but I don't think they're comparable. Like,
no, in the slightest. They're not.
Our problems are nothing like their problems.
No, they're not even. It's not even apples and oranges. It's apples and fucking elephants. There's no relevance to those two issues whatsoever at all. I mean, it's Palestine is a place where literally, they're both. Palestine is the extremist version of what's happening in places like Ferguson. I mean, they're talking about the knife intifada right now. I mean, that's literally been spoken about in Palestinian circles. I follow some Palestinian people on Twitter simply to keep up with the ridiculous shit. I follow a Zionist on Twitter for the same reason. I want to know what you crazy fucks are thinking. These guys are talking about poisoning knives before attacking IDF soldiers. They're showing charts that have pictures of where to stab Jews, how to properly stab a Jew so that it will die. And they're
Yes,
talking about
this is how to
committing
properly stab a Jew.
the third intifada, or the knife intifada is what they're calling it, where they're going to make civilian Palestinians use just knives because they're the easiest weapon to get around, to just stab Jews. That's what their new technique is going to be. That's how they're spreading their freedom, is by just stabbing Jews. Like okay. Look, I understand that they're an oppressed people, but that is not the way to go, guys. Like Gandhi had it right. Gandhi used white guilt correctly. If you're familiar with the history of Gandhi, he actually told his people, we have to use the British's feelings against them. We have to show them that they're wrong here by not being wrong. That's how you do
Yeah, I
that.
mean, once you commit violence as well, you almost become what they said you were. Like,
Yeah,
oh look,
it's
they're
the
just
joke like I make that
animals.
we lost World War II, which is what we're suffering from right now. Like America, the whole West, we lost World War II. Nazi Germany won, because we had to become Nazi Germany to beat Nazi Germany. We had to become a war machine to beat the war machine. We had
Yeah,
to
I mean,
create whole factories, and we had to
we
create whole
definitely weren't
economic. Yeah,
we weren't on the same level, but we can't forget we put people in internment camps. Like where
correct.
I live right next to what was a Japanese internment camp.
Yeah, I live not far from one myself, being in Oregon.
It's and you know it. I'm not saying that's as bad as the concentration camps, but we were
No,
on the same
they weren't
path.
work camps, they weren't concentration camps, they weren't execution camps, none of that. But we did have to do that, and then we had to create whole industries supporting war efforts simply to beat Germany, which means we had to do what Germany did to beat Germany. And then even if they lost, we still became them. I mean, it's
A
unfortunate that we
more
did, but
powerful them than they could have ever been.
correct. And that is an unfortunate occurrence that is why we are the world's police right now, because we have the biggest police force. I mean, if you need help, call on one of our 5 fleets of aircraft carriers. I mean, that's what we do. I mean,
I mean,
it's
it's
essentially our
sad
export.
because it was inevitable. We tried for the longest time to stay out of the world's problems,
Correct. And I'm
but it's
honestly, I'm an
we can't do
isolationist.
it.
I mean, I have been since I was a child, and I probably always will be. That's one of those. That's like, to me, I guess you could call it a tenet. It's almost a religious belief. I'm an isolationist. Unless absolutely necessary for the survival of our country, why are we dicking about over there? Like, really, has it spread any goodwill in the last 100 years since we broke that? Since we stopped being isolationists, have we spread goodwill?
Not really.
No, no, we've made very few friends.
When we go overseas, it's usually boots on the ground and
Yeah,
bullets in people's heads.
we've made very few friends, and those that we have made that are friends, some of them are getting tired of us. I mean, even France and Germany are getting sick of us. I mean, and we were their friends for the last 50 years, and even they're being like, you guys are getting old. Like, I mean, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, I really don't know because I don't think I fall into that same kind of thinking. I would definitely like to see more globalization and more more making allies on our side because
I'm
it's
talking about military force use.
okay. Yeah, in that case, then yeah, we need to cut that back. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm an isolationist insofar as the use of force. I don't think we should be the global
We
police.
should. I can't think of really any good instance right now where we should be using force.
No, not even remotely.
Like that. Not. I know a lot of people bring up ISIS, but like even there, I'm kind of like, like we're not really.
Well, my issue with that is that my belief systems on that actually, I would argue, are probably a little too right wing. um, there's no arguing with these people. Just stop. Honestly, we need to pull out, but we need to pull out and convince most of the rest of the world to stop trading with them at all. Just isolate that region entirely. And when they get their shit together, we can come back and talk. But as it stands, there are 2 options. We can ignore them. We can do absolutely very little by doing the kind of bombing campaigns we've been doing, or we can glass the region. I mean, those are essentially the 3 options, because there's no winning a boots on the ground war with these people right now. There's just not.
Absolutely not.
There's just not, unless there were a concerted global effort, and even that would be tantamount to genocide. It just would be. It would be tantamount to genocide. So our options are essentially Middle Eastern genocide or isolationist of the region. I would argue we need to isolate the region.
Yeah, definitely. I would argue that our presence has actually it's made things worse.
Yeah, it certainly hasn't made things better.
Like, that's the sad thing. We're going to go over there and fix things. And just by us being there, things become worse.
Yeah, and that's not to say we didn't have the best of intentions, which we did.
Oh, absolutely not.
All right, hey, can you give me 30 seconds here?
Oh, that's cool.
Well, or a minute. I gotta pee real quick.
Gotta entertain the people now. It's HagbardCeline, everyone. Check out his channel in the description. I'm gonna have to actually watch some of these videos of the guy sitting in his pantry. That sounds interesting. Yeah, check out his channel. He makes some good videos and all that. Let me know what you think about this fine fellow. I got some weird comments. At least from one guy. I'm gonna pull up that comment again. Previously read Google things. Okay. Huh. I don't know what to say to that comment. I'll read that when he comes back.
I'm back.
Back in black.
Sorry about that. I really do try not to break streams up like that.
Oh, no, it's fine. Oh, no, not 1 minute of nothing going on.
Yeah, I tried to hustle.
Oh, actually, I wanted to read a comment we got.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know what to even really make of this because it's mostly gibberish. I'm sorry if you were expecting some coherent argument. This person says, freaks, creedings, God is weak, God weak, Dodd is weak, police is cool, I am police, I kill with cuz Congo bongo. That's a comment we got.
So I'm fairly certain that was a troll.
I'm hoping.
That had to either be a troll or an Islamist. Those are the two choices. I mean, just fundamentally speaking. Yeah, fundamentally speaking, that was either a troll or an Islamist, because I've gotten some very, very muddled English from Islamic people that don't speak the language and are very angry. I get that from their message.
Angry illiteracy.
That's all I get from their message, though, is that they're very angry. Like, I can gather that, but what you actually meant to say, I have no idea.
It's sad. Sad. I wish we could just understand more.
God, bad. I mean, it sounds like a weird Dadaist. I don't know. Who knows with these people?
Dodd is weak.
Dodd. But why would he say God is weak? That just...
I really don't understand the argument. But
I don't either, because as an atheist, if there's no God, then saying God is weak is irrelevant. And if you believe in God, why would you exclaim him to be weak?
I don't know. I guess it's like how some people say God is dead. But that's meant to more be like metaphor or something. Not
yes,
serious.
The Nietzschean bad man. The Nietzschean bad man is in a time when it was the norm to believe in God, a bad man was one that rode down the street screaming, God is dead. And the second half of that is, it is we men who have killed him, with reason. It wasn't a negative thing. It was we figured shit out. God is dead because God deserved to die.
I literally took a spear and killed God myself.
No, there are some Philip K. Dick books where he finds a spirit or a giant being floating out in space that it turns out is the corpse of God, though. That's kind of fun.
That's awesome.
Philip K. Dick, man, that's an author that was prolific. Jesus Christ. I think he had like 96 books or some shit.
Whoa.
Yeah, well, listen, Stephen King sat down and said, I will make 10 pages a day. That was his thing. Philip K. Dick averaged 63, but the speed helped.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to get 2.
Most people are lucky to get anything.
I got a sentence. I'm actually looking at your videos, and one of your earliest videos, I see you reacted to the feminists who spoke in the UK. I think you might know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, the Purple People Eater.
Yeah, her. How do you feel about her? I did not watch that video. I'll have to catch up.
Yeah, she was interesting. It was actually really upsetting because she was at the Oxford Union.
Oh yeah.
And it's since come out. I probably should have taken the video down, and I may later in this if I can continue having this channel up, because it turns out she doesn't necessarily believe those things. She was given that topic as a debate student.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so she doesn't. She emailed a bunch of the people involved in making videos against her and explained that she didn't necessarily believe those things, and that it was indeed just her topic. And I've been in debate classes.
If she has a career in acting, I'll give her that.
Well, that's what our answer kind of was for someone that doesn't believe those things. You sure argued them with some serious vehemence. I mean, you appear to have believed
I don't want to say I'm like the arbiter of what's true and not, but it did seem sincere from what I saw.
At very least, her outrage and indignancy seemed sincere.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm looking through. So, was there a specific event though? I guess in August that made you say,
Yes,
okay,
the concept of cultural appropriation. That's what the first video is about.
Okay. I've taken some heat on that. So, what happened with you?
It was just I just simply was faced with it. I had never heard the term before. I had never.
Oh, really? You didn't even hear it last year?
No. I live I'm intentionally detached, if you will. I try not to engage. And then things like this happen, and then I'm like, well, it looks like being intentionally detached means being killed, kind of like with Islam. It's like, yeah, being like, no, it's no big deal, and then all of a sudden everyone around me is talking about Allah and enforcing Sharia law, and I'm like, oh wow, this might affect me. Fuck. Like, I'm like, I don't want to be there with any of these other issues. But the concept of cultural appropriation is absurd. Fundamentally and on the face of it, absurd. The only time that you can say to have appropriated culture, it was never, even the times people point to where they're like, look at how gross this was that these people did this. It was not malicious when they did it. They did it out of ignorance. They did it because they were not informed on the issues, like in the 1940s, 50s, 30s, when they were making movies.
I would argue that for pretty much any kind of prejudice.
I would argue, yeah, I would argue you're correct. And that people view, again, people have started taking things that can be easily explained with stupidity and ignorance and causing them to be just saying they're malice. It must be this person's racist. It's not that they're stupid. It's not that they've never talked to a black person before. It's that they're racist. They're racist. There you go, right there, on the face of it. Like what? It's the same thing with cultural appropriation. It's not a thing. There's no such thing as cultural appropriation. Every time cultures come into contact, they exchange information. Both sides take what they like and ignore what they don't. Period.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I see this a lot, and not just in the feminist thing, but I guess it's almost like an SJW dictionary of all these dumb terms that they've coined, and because these supposedly have deep philosophical theories behind them. We should really respect that. They're really scholarly. When you boil it down, you're right. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
It's
my
not
problem
an
is their
actual thing.
definition of scholarly is the same as people that say that they are biblical scholars.
Yeah.
Okay. And
SJW scholarly, like a scholarly article would be like someone going to Burger King and saying, "Oh yes, first class meal."
yeah, it's just I don't understand how people think that okay, you read a book that has no facts in it and then said that all of the things that this person claimed are facts because your feelings agreed with them.
It's just built on flimsy premise, like one flimsy premise on another. If one fell, the entire thing just falls to pieces.
Yeah.
It doesn't have support behind it. The
No, and
only
again,
support it
it's
has is that there's a lot of people saying it, and they try to cloak it in just a dense fog of bullshit.
yeah. Are you familiar with Goebbels?
Wait, what?
Are you familiar with Goebbels, the
I actually am not. Oh no,
the Nazi propaganda artist that was ex-American?
I am not. I'm sorry.
He coined a phrase of the big lie. And the big lie is the lie that is everyone knows it's a lie, but you have enough people say it frequently enough that it becomes truth. That's pretty much what these people are doing. That's what these people are fucking doing. These people are literally using the Nazi Goebbels propaganda technique of saying we live under a patriarchy. We live under a patriarchy.
That's the exact same thing with religion.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same
person,
shit.
One person could not believe these things on their own.
Oh no, they could, but they'd be labeled insane.
Yeah, well, I think the term should come back because if someone seriously goes around saying, "Oh, the patriarchy controls me," we shouldn't sympathize with that person.
Tinfoil hat bullshit.
Yeah, we should say
tinfoil hat garbage.
In fact, I would say actually maybe the truthers are a little better than you because.
No, seriously. No, at least there's okay. One of the guys I greatly respect is what one would call a truther, insofar as he does not believe that that the towers could have fallen under their own force, and he is a multiple degree holding physicist from MIT. I don't argue with him about it because I can't. I fucking physically cannot argue with him about it. He has more data on it than I do. If he's right, he's right. If he's wrong, he's wrong. Another physicist is going to have to argue with him. You know what I mean? Like, I legitimately simply cannot argue with him. I know he's involved with an effort through the Canadian government to sue the United States government for covering up information about 9/11. I know that. But they at least demand reason. They demand empirical evidence. Social justice warriors empirically demand there be no evidence, and that asking for evidence is racist, misogynistic, or sexist. I mean, if you say to a rape victim, "Listen, we're gonna have to ask you some questions. So on that night, did you engage in any of the following behaviors? Did you drink heavily? Do you recall all the events in sequence, or do you have any moments that could be described as a blackout?" That is misogynistic. That is rape apologist. That is asking for the evidence is not good.
It's sad because I see a lot of feminists lump in, what they ask, what was she wearing? Like, who does that? Like, I understand where I wouldn't.
Now the problem is that they do the whole that and get back in the kitchen. Those are their two tropes. Now the issue here is they don't seem to recognize that those tropes are from the fucking 60s. They're not a thing anymore. No, they're not a thing anymore. They're just not. They're not a thing anymore. You've brought back tropes from the 60s that men don't do anymore. That was, honestly, in the 1960s, if a woman was raped, the cops would legit ask her, well, I mean, come on, what were you wearing? I mean, they would. They would legit be like, if you're in a bad neighborhood and you're dressed like a hoe, you get treated like a hoe.
Yeah,
like that's what the cops
we all agree that that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We're not rape apologists.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I don't understand.
You're building a straw man, beating it to death, and then saying you won. Like that's no one fucking said that. No one has said that for a very long time. No modern human being believes the arguments you're making. The fact that you're making other people think that they have is terrifying. I don't know a single human being that has ever said to a woman who was raped, um, well, did you scream loud enough? No,
Yeah,
no. You need
no.
to go. You need to go to an Islamic-run country before you hear that. They ask, "Well, did you scream
Whoa,
loud?"
more racism.
Hey, that's a legit law in Saudi Arabia. If you didn't scream loud enough, it wasn't rape. You obviously weren't
Yeah,
struggling enough.
wow. I actually didn't know that. That's terrible.
That's in the Quran, sir. That's straight up in the Quran. If a woman is raped and she didn't yell in a loud enough fashion as to raise an alarm, then she wasn't really resisting. She was kind of doing that coy.
I hear some screaming, but it doesn't
Yeah, she was
sound
doing
like an
that coy female
alarming.
thing. You know how females are like, "No, stop, don't," but they don't mean it. Yeah, she was doing that thing. So you know how it is. Like,
It was just loud sex. That's all it was.
yeah,
Come on.
that's all. It was just particularly loud sex.
Oh my god, two misogynists making rape jokes.
I know. It
Oh
is
man.
funny. It is funny. No, and that's what I like about the new movement is there's no humor left.
It's
And
easy to push their
that's
buttons.
well, that's honestly why I'm here. That's why I identify, if you will, quote unquote, when people ask, I'm trolling people with my videos. I am a troll. I am fucking with you.
Troll.
Because I think that's good. I think humor's good. I think messing and taking the piss out of people is a good thing. And I think that anyone that thinks it's not is entirely too sensitive. Um, I don't like the anti-humor kind of feel that all these new movements have. Feminism is not funny. There are no jokes in feminism. I mean, really, like, tell me a feminist joke
Oh
that
man.
isn't
It'd
that
be the
isn't.
most neutered joke
Well, no.
possible.
The alternative is if it's not neutered, it's edgy in the opposite direction. It's the opposite of uh, a joke that even I would call racist. It would be the opposite of that. It would be one of those like, well, what is it? What does a white guy in yada 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 do? And then it'd be like, oh, this because something super racist. You know what I mean? Like that would be their joke. That would be
Well,
a
you see,
feminist friendly
that's
joke.
okay because they are a privileged class. So and look, I'm saying I'm okay with white people being made fun of. I make fun of white people all the
Correct.
time.
But I don't. It's exclusionary otherwise.
I don't see what's wrong with making fun of everyone.
Correct. Yeah. No. And okay. Listen, I grew up watching stuff like BET used to have a stand-up comedy show. Do you know how many white people be like jokes I've seen? Like seriously. Do you know how many white people do this jokes there are? Black people do this while white people do this jokes
Fuck
made
it.
by black comedians.
I find those
They're
jokes funny.
hilarious.
I don't
Fucking
take offense
hilarious.
to those.
They are fucking hilarious. And if you can't look at your own race and laugh like that and see the parody, if you can't laugh at someone like Larry the Cable Guy, not because he's funny, but because he's a parody of the worst kind of white person, if you will, laugh. Exactly. That's what you should be laughing at. And if you can't see, uh, like Tyler Perry as someone you should laugh at for the same reason, not because he's a funny director, but because as a person he's laughable. I mean, that's what I do. I see these people as laughable. I see
Yeah,
the
they just
Tyler
kind of
Perry is a joke. Tyler
stereotype.
Perry is a joke. He should not be a director. He exists simply because he has to. I mean, there has to be a regularly producing. I mean, what Medea movie was funny?
Oh man, you're
I mean,
asking questions
really.
with no answers.
Exactly. This is from a guy that thinks Friday needs to be remade today. I mean, I think Friday was one of the funniest. Drink it. Don't be a menace while drinking gin and juice in the hood. I mean, yeah, come on. That's one of the greatest comedy movies ever made.
That is a good
Not,
movie.
not one Medea movie is laughable. Not one. Not one has even a good punchline in it. Because he makes nothing but shitty race-based jokes. I mean, really shitty bottom barrel. And when I was incarcerated, we had to watch, because of the vote, Nothing but Medea movies and stuff like that. That's all that existed.
Ugh, that's
Except when consensus could be had on Fox's animation domination. Believe it or not.
hmm.
You want to know something people get punched out a lot for in prison? Try and change that channel and halfway through Family Guy. Go ahead. Go ahead. Click a button. I dare you. Watch 3/4 of that place jump on you like you owe them money. They love their Family Guy. They do. I mean, it's humor. I mean, think about how dark and dreary and shitty prison is, and then realize that any humor is valued like more than drugs in a prison.
Oh, but not Tyler Perry movies. I'll take the cell over that.
Oh God, no. They are though to the people that think they're funny, but unfortunately, that's not most people that are of my persuasion. I don't know why the African American population thinks he's funny, aside from the fact that he's representational. Like,
Yeah, that shouldn't be enough.
No, considering one of my favorite comedians on earth is like Chris Rock, and I mean these guys are hilarious.
Yeah,
like,
Chris. I mean, there are people across all ethnicities and all genders who are legitimately talented and funny.
Kumail Nanjiani is one of my favorite stand-up comedians right now. I mean, but none of that crossed my mind until now. We're sitting here having this stupid discussion about race. None of that crossed my mind. Never has it crossed my mind that, oh, that black comedian or that Indian comedian, or he's not Indian. God damn it, he's Pakistani. Oh fuck.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know. He makes jokes about that, and I know that too. But you know what I'm saying? That these comedians that aren't of the exact same race as me, and I like them, and maybe race should have some influence on how I perceive people, because apparently that's the new thing, right?
It's sad because, you know, I think this way. I think this way without having to try. I don't immediately judge someone based on their race or gender, and the fact that there are people who are trying to make me think that way. I judge people based on who they are, how they act, what they say. Like, not that's what's important. This other stuff, not at all. I don't.
Exactly.
How is it's so regressive.
It really is. No, they're working backwards. Like, it's for some reason because they never got to experience the quote unquote glory that they think existed in the 1950s and 60s as the progressive movement came off. They want to recreate that for some reason.
Except that's just completely built off a lie. We look back at that with rose-tinted glasses.
Correct.
It was a shitty time.
Mm-hmm.
Full of shitty people who did shitty things.
I was just in a cab a couple days ago. I was just in a cab a couple of days ago with a fucking 63-year-old Native American man talking about this stuff. And he was like, he goes, these people don't understand what the 60s were like. He goes, there were neighborhoods they would kick the shit out of you for going into. He goes, just stomp on your head. He'd be, you are wrong color, stomp on head. He's like, that's what these people did. He goes, that's what it's like. That's what racial tension is like. He goes, and for some reason, these people want that to be the thing again. Why would you do that? I mean, this Native American dude had no idea how to deal with this. He was so furious with people.
I'd even say for like these supposedly perfect white family during the 50s, it wasn't some idyllic, beautiful life every minute of every day. It was,
no, of course
you
not.
had to go through life. Everyone had their own struggles. It's not like,
of course not.
Like
people
just handed everything on a silver platter.
People misperceive watching episodes of fucking Leave It to Beaver as being a documentary. It's not a fucking documentary.
That's how they treat it.
Okay, listen, man. They're you know this. You're in Wyoming. You know there were huge swaths of Wyoming that didn't have like indoor plumbing for flush toilets until the 1970s, right? Like 1974, 1975 was the average year that someone got a flush toilet in their house in Wyoming.
Oh man, yeah.
I mean, I know, but I mean, what are you people talking about? No one had an idyllic life. And Leave It to Beaver, technically, the only reason he had a flush toilet in his house was he lived in Connecticut. I mean, you're seeing Connecticut as being all white people in 1950. And you're seeing Leave It to Beaver as a documentary of this experience. That's in your head.
They should have really set Leave It to Beaver in Wyoming. And That would be something.
If you would have combined like the Beverly Hillbillies and Little House on the Trailer, that would have been an accurate representation. I mean, it's
Oh, totally. Totally. Yeah, it's yeah, for real though. It is sad to see that.
yeah, well, it's the same thing that like I deal with when I deal with the feminist movement, and they want to talk about the suffragettes and they want to talk about all this other stuff, and it, a that was the generation that actually accomplished what you're bitching about, and B, they did so because the supposed patriarchy said, you know what, you're right, we should probably let women vote. I mean, you realize that to
Yeah,
get the vote, women couldn't vote, right?
that's true.
Like
It
logically
was it
speaking.
was done to give them the right to do that.
Correct. Men had to give you the right to vote. Now, I'm not saying that it's like, oh, you should be happy the paternalistic man gave you your right to vote. I'm just saying that if we live in a supposed patriarchy bound and determined to keep women down, why did that occur?
Well, I would say two things about the suffrage thing. One, probably the most obvious. We're approaching like a century since that happened. Like, I hope they understand when they bring this kind of stuff up how far removed we are.
Yeah.
And two, I would say that the people who identified as feminists then they accomplish things by actually taking action. Like this seems to be a concept that the modern crowd can't grasp. If you want to accomplish something, go do it.
Well,
Like
not
don't
only that, but they had a point. They had a fucking point. I mean, it
I
was
mean
the whole
their
thing they're using
point.
right now where they stood up and they say, well, ain't I a woman? Yeah, that was 150 years ago. We all acknowledge people of color and black women and all women are people. They're allowed to vote. They have all equal rights, yada, yada, yada. Now what? What are you asking? Like, what are you asking for at this point?
You know,
Like,
they had such a concrete point that I would say that a large number of the men of the time agreed with them. There wasn't the thing back then like,
obviously,
oh,
they voted to let you have it.
yeah, there wasn't really as big of an anti-feminist crowd back then, at least to the point it is now, because I think people understood at that time like this is how where the times are going. You know, there's some initial backlash to it, but eventually everyone's pretty much on board.
Of course. Well,
And that's
and the
not what's
other
going on
aspect that I don't think that from a socio biological perspective, I don't think feminists understand the damage that an overzealotry can have on just the species. I mean, women select breeding rights. I mean, that's just a fact. Like
now. Oh yeah.
women have, and women of every, especially mammalian species, select the breeding rights. So if your breeding standards shift so dramatically that you no longer biologically wish to initiate the breeding cycle, where does that end? I mean, that doesn't end well for our species.
The end of our species eventually.
Yeah, well, it's essentially the actual end result if you were to follow the initial conscripts of Christianity, which is why it had to shift so dramatically. Because the initial conscripts of Christianity were told not to breed, to worship God, and to wait for their own death, and then upon their death of the entire group of Christians, because they had not bred, would be the end times. That was the initial like driving force of Christianity, was not to breed, which
The
is
end
why they
time
had to.
2,000 years ago.
Yeah, the end time would have been all the people that identified as Christians simply dying off while not breeding. I mean, that's where monasteries and stuff, that's the tradition that monasteries and stuff come from. And that's why priests traditionally in the old religion can't have wives. It's because that's what really being a Christian is. They never expected the peasantry to rise to the class of people that would go and abstain from their breeding privileges. That's really what you're abstaining from, is breeding. You're not abstaining from sex, the act of orgasm. You're abstaining from the act of breeding in those times.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a dangerous.
So it's the same kind of ideology now that feminists have, that is demonizing male sexuality, that essentially is anti-special.
And I also notice they'll just as readily demonize um, women would who choose to fit a more traditional kind of lifestyle.
Absolutely, which is disgusting.
Like honestly, I'm almost glad I'm a male anti-feminist for that reason, because if I was a female anti-feminist, I think I'd be attacked much more on that
Well,
basis
and
alone.
the irony is that like fucking Family Guy had a joke about this almost a decade ago. Lois comes out yelling and screaming. Do you remember this about her?
I
She
do
meets
not.
a feminist, a raging feminist. Lois runs into one. And she's like, "Oh, well, you know, you still live as a housewife, so you might not know anything." And Lois basically says, "Yeah, because when I step out of my kitchen, the whole world is so dazzling. I just need my husband to explain things to me." Yeah, I raised 4 fucking kids. Like, in all seriousness, do you have any idea how fucking hard that is? Like, that's most quote unquote professional advocates for feminism or whatever don't have kids, first and foremost.
Don't, and I would say a lot of them don't have partners either.
No, no, they don't have long-term partners. And they don't have jobs per se. They don't
So clearly
work.
represent the people. Come on.
Yeah, they don't work per se, as opposed to, and even I'll consent, a mother, a full-time mother who legitimately
Yeah, that's
has
a
like
job.
that's hard fucking work. It is, and it is tireless. It is literally when that bitch starts screaming at 1 o'clock in the morning, wake your ass up. There's no alternative. There's no clicking the snooze button
It
on that
sounds like I'm
motherfucker.
talking to a 38-year-old black guy. I don't know.
You see how this happens?
Man, that bitch will wake your ass up.
But that again, that's because I grew up in a mixed race household.
Oh, it's all good.
It just I slide seamlessly into it. There's something to that. But feminists will degrade them. Feminists will fucking degrade these women.
And I really have to ask, what's more misogynistic?
I
Like,
agree.
I think women should be able to make their own choices and do what they want to do and be who they want to be,
Which is why
even
I
if
say
that fits the traditional mold.
I'm a feminist in that sense that yeah,
Okay.
sure, in the fact that women should be allowed the same choices as men. Yes. But what modern feminism wants to do is say, and they should ignore all biological imperatives that exist. All of them, male, female, all biological imperatives are not just non existent. If they do exist, they are evil. They are the new Satan.
And they're social constructs, like
Yeah, yeah.
we just
Wanting
made
to
them up.
breed, wanting to breed is a social
That's a
fucking construct.
how is that a
You've
social?
lost your goddamn minds. You've lost your fucking minds.
Oh man, I don't even know what to say to that. It's
That's
ridiculous.
what I deal with. That's why I'm like, yeah, no, I can't handle that. I agree with the fact that of course women are equal. Women should be allowed to vote. Women should have all the right. All the stuff that is, I mean, it's so hard to go over all the things that I support that would be quote unquote feminist, except for the fact that they're goddamn logical. They're duh. Women are people. Full stop. And then there's nothing to go from there. Like anything from there is superiority. Anything to go from there is superiority. You're
Absolutely.
asking for special privileges. The same way that I argue that there is such a thing as soft racism, where you're like, no, you haven't helped. You're being paternal. You're not doing something positive. Like,
I would say that's probably my biggest argument against feminism is that ironically it is very sexist against women.
yeah,
Like, and
yeah, no.
I
And I
don't
found I
agree
found videos
with
of
what it
women.
says.
I found videos of women willing to argue for the reinstillment of like chivalry, and
Yeah.
that's feminist. Chivalry is feminist, just like the hijab is feminist.
Oh yeah, because it protects them from the male gaze.
Same thing with chivalry. Chivalry technically made it so that you had to ask other people before you could interact with a woman to protect her, and then you had to go through long-term courting rituals, and then occasionally it would enter periods where you simply had a lover you never had sex with. That was just someone you loved in that courtly way. Courtly love was different than carnal love.
I believe that's what we call regressive.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
base our systems of morality off things that failed centuries ago.
Exactly. Things that were absurd on the face of them and that only existed
Things
and
that
only existed in
literally,
small scale in courtly life. These weren't how people lived. This was how like the 1% lived.
it's so fucking sad. Chivalry, I would say that is a social construct.
Of course it is.
Like that, what? And they're gonna call things that are like biological and like actually can be empirically shown social constructs, but then defend one of the biggest social constructs of all
Yeah,
time.
like I watched Dr. Randomer Cam, Skeptor, and Goodfella argue with someone, and they were willing to argue that simply the statement that men typically are 30% stronger than women is a social construct. It's because men are told to go into more physical labor positions. Thus, when the tests occur, they test higher.
That's ridiculous.
Do you have no idea what testosterone does?
I mean, the science is there, and just because
Do
it's
you
so
know that?
sad
Do you know that
that we have the
did you
actual
know that
science
the
behind this.
you know the ring finger on men is actually longer than their index finger. If
Oh
you hold up
yeah,
your hand, hold it
I'm
straight
looking
out.
at it.
Women, that's not the case, and that's also how you can tell when someone has gone through transitional surgery. If you never want to get fucking trapped, um, it's obvious if you look at their hand. If they're a man, their ring finger is longer. This is because in the womb, when the fetus becomes a male, the testosterone starts pumping and causes an immediate growth in that region. We don't know why. It has to do with bone density,
Finger to
which is why women have less dense bones than men. Testosterone causes an increase in bone density, and causes that particular bone to grow in the womb. That's a biological indicator of different sex or gender. Now, they want to say gender is a social construct because they want to say that the 1950s wife was a social construct. Of course, everything's a social construct. Language is a social construct. I mean, where does it stop?
There's not anything inherently wrong with the
With
social
social
construct.
constructs. No, you live in a social construct. The only reason
We
that
live in a
okay,
society
you
for a
want to know
reason.
what's a social construct? The fact that I can't walk up to you and because I'm a healthy late 20s, early 30s male, I can just walk into your household, kill your father, and take your mother and both of your sisters as my sex slaves. You see, for breeding rights, and then
That would
breed
be
with all of you.
biological law.
And biologically speaking, that's how mammals live. So anything beyond that is a social construct. Do we want to have a discussion about social constructs now? Because it's all a
Yeah,
social
we
construct.
came together as a society and said that that was inherently
Wrong.
destructive, and we probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah, that correct. That was wrong. That we shouldn't do things like that because you see that person you killed was a person and those three people that you just forcibly bred with are also like thinking individuals. And although
Individuals.
your mammalian and reptile brains say that breeding rights rule because we're social apes, we're taught through society that those things are bad. That's social constructs.
It,
Now,
I never even thought about that. That's so fucking sad because we've evolved to the point where that's what we have over these other animals. Society is our greatest benefit in these social interactions. So how could anyone possibly sit there and oppose that? Like
correct.
this is just made up. You mean like everything pretty much that we revere, like all these concepts that we think are important, like freedom. We made that up.
We
Like
made that shit up, dude.
we made pretty much everything up.
Correct. These social constructs are a good thing. Not all of them, of course. There are social constructs that are wrong because human beings are fallible.
Yeah, and that's where the argument you need to offer some nuance. We can't just sit here and say social constructs are
Yeah.
bad.
Well, the alternative being that feminism is a social construct
It's a complete social construct.
that
That's already
criticizes social
fucking done.
constructs. These
Wow.
people don't seem to realize that. They
Wow.
never address that issue. That they are inherently, by being a reaction to a social construct, socially constructed.
They are trying to construct in society, so I think it
Correct.
counts.
It's one of the most bizarre arguments I've ever heard from a group. That's like, it's
Wow.
like when I hear two religious people argue. When I hear someone who's Christian, I argue against Islam. I argue against Christianity. I argue against Zionism. I argue against all those concepts. I argue against Hinduism because Hinduism produced the caste system, which is awful. The caste system in India is fucking awful.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but I'm an atheist. If a Christian argues against an Islamist, I laugh. You're
Yeah, and they
both
do it a
wrong.
lot
You're both
because
fucking wrong.
like, oh, they don't worship the right God.
No,
It's
again, Family
like,
Guy nailed that one too. No, it's a smelly brown god, but it's the same god. I mean, it's the same dude. He's just wearing different skin. I mean, it's the same dude as far as they're concerned. I mean, you're a dirty kufar. What do you want? You're fucking. You exist to extract the design from. They want your tax. That's all. They might leave you around because of the tax, and they might grow tired of you and kill you instead. I mean, that's what their book teaches. I mean, your book teaches very similar things.
I don't. Yeah, you know,
If
it's
Christianity had warped in the 1960s, there was a movement to destroy Christianity from within by renaming it Jesusism or Jesusists, and literally taking the Temple on the Mount and one of his other speeches and calling those the tenets of their religion. If they had done that, they would essentially be Western religious Buddhists. Fine. Fuck off, have fun. I'll never bother you guys again. I don't attack Buddhism. It's not worth it. There's nothing there. It's like how Sam Harris says, like about Jainism. There's what am I attacking? People that don't want to step on bugs? Like, okay, swing away. Like there's nothing there. These other
yeah.
religions desire to
I think you
impose
need
themselves.
to prioritize
Yeah,
about that because look, it's certainly truth is important, and it's important to probably test everyone's ideas, but at the same time, there are some ideas that are inherently more dangerous.
yeah,
That's obvious.
yeah. It's like I'm not a big I haven't done any videos on it, but I've attacked personally things like Scientology.
Hmm.
Like I wouldn't care about Scientology. They would be a harmless backwards cult if it weren't for the fact that they cause people to intentionally rift within their own communities, that they cause intentional ostracization, and that they use blackmail as a tool of control, that they record conversations. Like imagine if the Catholic Church recorded all of your confessions to your priest and then said, if you leave, we'll tell everyone about this shit. That's what Scientology does.
They've got some dirt on Tom Cruise and
No,
Will Smith.
they legitimately, that's what they do in their sessions. They legitimately hook you up to essentially a lie detector, and then ask you questions, and then ask you questions on whether or not you were lying on those questions until you admit terrible things, and they film it all, and then afterwards they tell you they filmed it all. And they say, if you leave and you speak bad about the Church of Scientology, we will tell everybody about this tape and release it. They legitimately do that. That is a thing.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's fucking horrible, and I speak out against that. But it's such a minutia of a problem. You know what I've never heard?
What is
Allahu Zenu, and then someone blow themselves up.
that?
I mean, when do you hear that Xenu is the greatest among them all, and then someone like blows themselves up or commits a terror act? You don't. They're assholes. They're rich, shit-headed assholes. And I hate them for that. They say that anyone that isn't a Scientologist because they're a pedophile. That's a No, seriously, if you go watch videos about it, when people come up and ask them questions, they'll be like, I bet you don't want to come in because you'll have to admit to some crimes, some heinous crimes, like being a pedophile. Yeah, he looks like a pedophile to me, Tom. Yeah, he's probably a pedophile. Like, that's how they deal with dissenters. And they're sick fucks for that. But, man, they're not worth attacking.
Of course, that's all okay. Like we understand the pedophilia. We're totally down with that.
Yeah, again, it's those guys. I mean, they're harmful within their communities, but they're never going to have an effect on the world. The Scientologists are never going to be the next Islam.
No way.
It's just not a
I
thing.
want. I
Like
want the
Mormons. Mormons are
reaction.
weird fucks. Mormons are weird fucks, but
I'm
they're
surrounded by
fairly
Mormons.
harmless. Oh, I know. They're fairly harmless though.
Yeah, but they are weird.
They're never
Like
gonna shoot up a school. They're never gonna be like fucking okay, all of a sudden if you don't convert to Mormon God and have multiple wives and wear our magic underwear, we're killing motherfuckers. It's just not gonna happen. It simply isn't going to happen.
I guess it depends on how much a religion changes over time. You know, like because certainly attitudes about a religion can change.
Oh, sure.
Like I would argue that in terms of Christianity, it was much more violent at other points in history, and
Yeah,
has kind of,
yeah.
you know, it's not perfect now by any stretch, but it is dulled its roars
No,
slightly.
and Christianity is a religion that I've argued is one of those that it's more dangerous the more you read the text. If you
Definitely.
go to church and you listen to what the priest says, it's a fairly safe religion. If you then go into the depth of the text, the majority of the time you will find out that it tells you to do and be horrible.
Yes,
The
they
priest will
definitely
say
preach a really fluffy Americanized version.
most, and I'm not saying all because I'm from the South, and I have seen some churches say some shit. And I'm talking on signs, like, they always have those signs that are all spelled out outside the church.
Oh yeah.
I've seen them say some shit. Like, that you'd be like, God damn, dude, that's like in public. Like, that's not in your sermon. That's like everyone drives by and sees you say gay people go to hell. Like, that's right there on a sign. Like, everyone sees that. Apparently, it gained followers. Who knows? Um, but that's what I grew up around. And I know that the Bible says some hateful shit. And I know that the Crusades happened, and I know the Inquisition happened. But I mean, even the Inquisition, which is one of their favorites, that was a fairly isolated incident. That wasn't all of Europe. You know what I mean? That was in Spain and in Spanish controlled
And
Portugal.
the best part was no one was expecting it.
Well, no, yeah. But do you know what actually happened there? The
Oh yeah.
Inquisition was a response to the ex-Islamic invasion when they had pushed Islam out of the peninsula after it had invaded in the 15th century. That's when the Inquisition came, because the Catholic Church was desperately afraid that there were still Islamists among its ranks. That's all. It was a paranoid purge, akin to like what Stalin did. It wasn't like a persecution of an ideology. It was a single political party being paranoid. It was the Catholic Church being paranoid and going, okay, listen, the book says that if you want to lie about your religion to spread your religion, you can do that. So there might be people here still pretending to be Islamic. So let's torture people to figure it out. Like, I mean, it's twisted and wrong, but it really wasn't religiously motivated insofar as their religion was why they tortured. They tortured for political reasons because their religion become a political institution. The same reason we have a problem with Islam.
Institutionalized.
Institutionalized religiosism.
Religiousism.
Yeah, basically. And no, I mean, it's like the Catholic
It's true.
Church.
I mean,
The
at
Catholic
the
Church
time,
used to be a political
politics,
power. Yeah, I mean, once upon a time, the Catholic Church was a
politics
political
and
power.
religion were one.
Yeah, and that's not the case
Yeah,
anymore.
definitely.
And unfortunately, in Islamic countries, it is. And Islam,
And some people in America would definitely like us to have that again. Yeah.
yeah, well, and as the
I
teaching
don't know.
says, and as the teachings say that, I mean, Islam itself says it's a political religion. It's part of its teaching is that it
Oh,
it
definitely.
should.
I mean,
Okay, as opposed to,
have.
here's the line I tell people because they always say all religions are equal. Okay, fine, whatever. Let me prove that wrong. Islam says Allah is the law. Period. That's in the Quran. Allah is the law. The law of Allah is the law of the land. Christianity
They have
says,
Sharia.
yeah, Christianity says, cleave unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. Do you see?
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you
Definitely.
see the difference there? Yeah, that makes me
That's a
nervous.
big difference.
That difference makes me nervous. You see, that's the difference that allowed deists that founded our country who believed in a creator but not the Christian God to found this country and then separate church from state. because even the Bible says to
If
separate
if
church and state.
if the people who had settled America had been Muslim, that would not be the case.
Correct. And that is an observable fact. Name me one country that is predominantly Muslim that does not have a form of Sharia law in place. You won't find one.
Questions without answers.
Yeah, questions without
Like,
answers.
this should be a segment.
We could start a TV show called Questions Without Answers.
I love it. Yeah, no,
It would be
I'd be
called
happy.
it would wildly
Probably
make
should have
people
called that
uncomfortable.
already.
That's really what it
Definitely.
would do. It would be like professional trolling.
Just ask really uncomfortable questions to people.
Yeah. What percentage of the Torah calls for people to be killed for disagreeing with the Torah? Discuss. I don't wanna discuss.
That's
Yeah, it does.
racist.
Yeah, it's
That's
racist.
anti-Semitic.
I know. And that's another issue I have, and that's a whole nother conversation, frankly, where we're willing on the left, and again, we're going to move some goalposts here because that's what I'm all about. On the left, we're willing to criticize Islam as an ideology, but not afford the same thing to Judaism as a religion, because
I would
it's been so
argue-
deeply it's been so deeply confounded that people say that Jew is a ethnic identity.
I would
Whereas I'd
argue
argue
we
Semitic.
don't even do that with Islam as much as we should.
Oh, of course not. I'm
Like,
just
we
saying
do
that. I mean, we on the left
is
is
pretty ready to do that to Christians, but
no. I mean, we on the
not
left is in our new left, not the
Okay, yeah, I
leftist
see.
progressives. I mean, the people like who are willing to say, "Okay, I'm left and fuck Islam." But why are we not willing to say? We say fuck Islam, fuck Christianity. Okay, but the Jews are cool. Like,
I would say that it probably has something to do with how few Jews there are.
yeah, and they don't have any control or power. But can we at least do the Sam Harris thing without being called racists, please? Like, that's all I'm asking for.
Oh yeah,
Can I at
for
least
sure.
say?
In
Can I at
fact,
least say what Sam Harris says, which is that it is indeed the root of, like, obviously, if you just look at how these things were written, the Torah was written. Someone modified the Torah and wrote the Bible, and then that Bible moved over to the Middle East, and they used all the information that was found in those two books to make the Quran.
the Quran.
And it's the same shit. It stone these people. These people are bad. Breed only within yourselves, and fuck everyone who doesn't believe what you believe. I mean, they all hold the same beliefs.
Yeah, it is interesting that Judaism is given such a pass because
It's
honestly,
confounded as a
when-
race. The same
when-
argument we make about
when the
Islam.
Bible, when someone criticizes the Bible, I would say that they're also criticizing its Jewish roots, even probably more so because a lot of the worst aspects of it are in the Old Testament.
Of course, but it's a way to kind of do it without saying Judaism.
That's true. It's a bad cover up. So yeah, I think it is important that the Jewish ideology to say I hadn't really even thought about this. I'm glad you brought it up. But
Well, it's what
yeah, it
makes
is
me
bad,
capable of
definitely.
criticizing Israel and being like, listen, if anything of what you're doing is motivated by your beliefs, there's a problem. Obviously, there's no solution that says Israel doesn't exist. That's done. That's the conversation's over. Israel exists. It is a thing. You can't say it doesn't exist without literally calling for a genocide of that entire people. There's too many people there. You can't just say, okay, we made a mistake. Israel shouldn't exist. You can't say that quote unquote Palestine doesn't exist, although I'd argue that Palestine is actually an amalgamation of the workers that were brought in to help build Israel from the Jordan population. They're all Jordanian. Palestine exists. I'm not going to argue that those people should be forcibly removed from the land they now live on. Why do people oppose that argument? What is to oppose for what I just said there? That the two-state solution is obviously the only solution.
I think it's more important now than ever. This was part of the conversation I was having with the pro-Palestinian person. But these Jewish texts basically promise these people this land is yours. This is your promised land. And
Yeah,
if you really look at it, the promised land it covers a significant amount of the Middle East. So they literally believe that all of this land belongs to them, and that they're entitled to it. And that's when the religious beliefs hit the wall of geopolitics and actually become a problem for the rest
correct,
of us.
correct.
And that surely we can all come together and at least criticize that.
Which is
Like
why I would
that's not
say, okay,
racist.
so Palestine already exists. That has to stop wherever it is right now. Those borders need to be locked down. That's the only sane solution. For us to say that Israel shouldn't exist is to allow Palestine to do whatever they feel is necessary to wipe the Israeli population off the planet, which is not acceptable, and vice versa. Which means that we have to tell the Israelis that continuing to expand using quote unquote settler populations is not acceptable behavior. It's literally growing your society like a cancer.
Huh.
It just is. I mean, these people, if you've seen some footage of the settlers moving forward, they literally just build a house and then 30 feet over, someone else builds a house. And these are like semi-fortified things. These guys all have guns. So if the Palestinians are like, hey, dude, that's my farmland, and they come bother you, you just shoot at them. Like, dude, we can't do that. That's not how this functioning society works.
It's true. I mean, our society would crumble to pieces if that kind of behavior was allowed.
Yeah, basically.
It'd be a disaster.
That's almost like at the Million Man March when they were saying, did you read their list of demands?
I did not.
Oh, it's phenomenal. One of them is that black people get land, whatever that means.
Land, how much?
I think the total that someone on Twitter quoted Louis Farquharson or whatever his name is, the fucking Nation of Islam. He's the one that wrote it, and it was like I think 150 million acres of land. And it was like, okay, now how does one hand that over? And Nathan, my brother and I were joking about this, that do they realize that even the white people that quote unquote own land in the United States don't actually own it? We're kind of permanently renting it from the US government. And if at any given chance they come by and just take it, that's fuck all our fault. Like, it's whatever. There's nothing we can do about it. Do they know that? Do you think they know that? Because they don't appear to know that, like, unless what they're proposing is that the land that they're given is no longer property of the U.S. government. In which case, you're talking about a weird secession from the Union thing going on.
And I take umbrage with, like, get the idea of just give us land. Like, people don't just, I don't know how to explain this. People don't own land today like they used to. People
Not
have
at all.
like a yard.
Yeah, well, even if they do, even if you own, like I said, out here, it's not unusual to own like 45 acres. You don't own it. You don't fucking own it. You don't have water rights to it. You don't have mineral rights to it. You got none of that.
That's really rare. Yeah.
You got fucking none of that. Yeah, no. You honestly, there are most of this country, you simply cannot do it. The states would not relegate that right to you, no matter how much you paid. And which is why industries have to claim them on commercial lands that are then leased from the state. You still don't, commercial people that have mineral rights have temporary mineral rights. You don't get long-term mineral rights. That's not a thing. You don't just go, this is my land, and I'll dig a hole in it as long as I want for whoever I want, because fuck you.
I think I'm just highlighting that it's a regressive mindset, like oh, I need land. It's
it's a delusion.
Don't have, very few people own land like that.
Correct.
Anymore. Even where I'm at, where it's a big farming community, there aren't really that many farmers compared to people who just have a backyard and a house.
Correct.
That's all most people have. In fact, most people don't have a yard.
Yeah. The vast majority of the even most
most people just live in like shitty apartments
Yeah,
and have a
most people
room.
apartments or fucking condominiums or anything like that that you don't really own. I mean,
Yeah, I
that's your
have a
average person.
room. I have a room
Yeah,
that I rent out every month.
yeah. My buddy lives in a studio apartment. I mean,
Nothing
that's
wrong
the
with it,
average.
but it's
No,
it's still not like I own this
no,
land.
it sure as shit ain't land ownership. I mean, what just gives you the right to just ask the entire U.S. government to just give you land?
We need land.
Like seriously, what the fuck?
uh,
Then again,
Conquered land.
this is from a good portion of the population that thinks that when Columbus or that thinks that when Columbus landed, because he described the Native Americans as being Negro, insofar as they had darker skin than he did, which is the only way we classified them at that point as Europeans,
Hmm.
that they are actually Africans that had moved over here on boats to spread their civilization.
Yeah, no, no,
That was at the
that's
Million Man March. A person at the
wow.
Million Man March made a speech where they referenced that. I mean, that's not an unusual belief system to hold. It's
I'm
just not.
flabbergasted. I
No,
can't believe it.
there are whole swaths of the American, and I follow people like Omar the Great on Twitter and stuff. That I mean, it's a black African dude that lives in Zimbabwe. Um, that talks about how there's this whole concept that American blacks have is just delusional. Like there's no black race in Africa. These people hate each other, like for being the wrong black race. You know what I mean? Like this South Africans hate West Africans, hate East Africans, hate North Africans.
That's how I think that's how we treat other white people too. Like, oh, they're
Dude, think about it.
Germans.
No, no. Do you know what the biggest problem in Ireland is right now?
I'm not aware.
Polish people,
Eh,
fucking Polacks, dude. Other white
Poles.
people, other white people are the biggest problem. Now, is that racism? What why do you think the left isn't covering that? Because it hurts their brain. Because disliking people simply coming in willing to work for lower wages that are also white isn't racism. It's just economical getting fucked-ism, which they don't have a word for.
Oh, don't they'll make one. Don't worry.
I'm sure they will, and it'll still make white people the bad guys, in spite of the fact that it's just anybody who is getting their job taken for a lower price gets upset at the incoming populace that does so.
Hmm.
I mean, did you ever see oh, what was it, Gangs in New York?
I think so.
The introductory scene to that is a guy standing on the docks while people are being taken off boats. And he's saying things like, yeah, it's ridiculous because now we have what was it? We have Irishmen willing to do for 10 cents what an Englishman would do for 20, and Negroes willing to do for 5 what an Irishman would do for 10. They've been complaining about this forever. This is the problem. It's the problem in the Southeast, Southwest. Yeah, it's the problem in the Southwest. It's like, yeah, people come in and they work for lower wages, and that actually does lower everybody's wages. That's just, it's economy 101. Like denying that is denying how capitalism works.
For sure. Actually, if you don't mind, I'm gonna switch gears here real quick. It's gonna be kind of a switch, but I do want to get to a couple other things so we don't go for 8 hours like Brett
Sure.
Keane. Because no one wants that. I was actually you were saying earlier that feminism was pretty tinfoil hatty. Kind of conspiracy ish. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
I was actually wondering with what you think of the wage gap, because this is the subject I find myself unable to argue the most. Like
That's funny. I just had another fan ask me that on a chat to cover the wage gap. One of the first guys that subscribed to me on YouTube does comic book reviews from the Silver Age. Really specific, but that's really cool that he does it. Honestly,
That's
I'm
cool,
not into comic books, but that's really cool. Um,
Oh, the Silver Age was a blast.
Yeah, not the Golden Age, the Silver Age. He does like, 1960s and stuff. It's really neat. Anyway, he asked me to do this, and I've been looking into it. I'd looked into it before, but I've been looking into finding a video to debunk because I don't like doing videos where I just sit there and talk. Kind of like how Sargon does some explain videos where he does that, and he has some imagery going, but mostly it's just him being mouthy. I don't like that. I like debunking. That's where my joy comes from.
It is
So,
probably the easiest kind of video to make. Just
yeah.
intersperse it with someone else's video.
Yeah. Basically, I'm not trying to kill myself over these videos. I have an actual video series in the works that will be heavily produced and will be like how Sargon does his. But these are just for me. These are me playing around.
I wanted to make probably a couple videos about the wage gap, but it's something that I want to research because I don't want to go into it and say the wrong thing.
The thing about the wage gap is it is anytime someone talks about it, they are never really taking into account like same job wage gap. Same job, same position, same etc. wage gap. You're talking about a penny and a half, 2 pennies on the hour. And that has to do with most of the time seniority.
Yeah, definitely.
It has to do with the fact that women take longer vacations, more time off. They drop out of the workforce for 3 or 4 years when they have a child. Okay, is that all right? Yeah. Feminists will argue that that's because it's biological that women have to have children, so they should be compensated for that. No, simply no. I mean, there's no other way for me to say it. No, just no. I mean, again, my biggest problem with that whole wage gap argument is, you know what jobs pay really well that you don't see a lot of women at?
What would those be?
Landscaper. When I worked as a landscaper, I made $20 an hour. I didn't see a whole lot of women. Sewage. You don't see a whole lot of women working sewage. That job kills, dude. I mean, really, that job. My dad works in wastewater. My dad makes $75,000 a year plus every benefit you could ever possibly imagine. Whoa. I mean, he's literally treated like veterans. Like he can just walk in anywhere and it's just like, oh yes, sir, you would do what you want, medical, dental, whatever. It's all you. I mean, how many women does he work with? 1. Why? Because it's stinky. Because it smells like poo-poo. You see what I'm saying? Like, but again, the issue I have with it is that they're arguing for women to get into cushy jobs. There's no one saying more women construction workers, more women engineers. Now, more women engineers means more women working at drafting boards. It doesn't mean more women working in hazardous, hard jobs like men do. It means forcing men to quit their jobs in these positions and secede them to women that got into it because they were told they had to. I mean, as it stands, these women can still already do that. They already get into these positions if they're actively interested in doing it. I know because I dated one.
There's no ban against anyone.
No, really. I dated a girl who was becoming an engineer. I find intellectual women incredibly attractive. I mean, just deeply, deeply sexy. A woman who can explain to me differential equations and how they relate to quantum equations, my dick becomes immediately erect. I love smart women. But that's not my problem. I'm not saying women can't be smart. I'm saying that simply most women don't want to do it. That's why, okay, in ancient Greek culture, in ancient Roman culture, women that could learn an art were revered. Women that were singers, women that could play the lute, women that, those kind of things, because it showed dedication. It showed a character trait. And when we lost that, we lost something in our culture. When we stopped defining women through what they created, we did lose something in our culture. At this point, women are further and further being contented to simply be. It's what feminism in its modern sense is doing.
Yes, and
I am valid. I am valid because I am woman. Like, but
that's
you didn't do
completely
anything.
antithetical to what the feminist movement was originally trying to do.
Correct. Correct. Which was give women agency, which they have.
Women who actually did things, like they actually went out there and they believed in something and fought for it, and they
Yeah.
didn't just settle. They were willing to do the hard jobs. I mean, plenty of times in our country's history when we sent all our men to war, it was women who picked up the slack in the
Correct. And that's
factories.
the root of it. It is. That's the root of feminism right there is the
And there's nothing
1930s and
wrong with
40s.
that feminism. That's really honorable, and I think
No, but it
in a
lost
lot
its
of ways.
momentum in that manner. It stopped being about that and started simply being about power. It's the same thing I said about the guys in the Black Lives Matter movement. Um, Read 48 Laws of Power. You're doing it wrong. You can't simply go into the street and say, I want power because I want power. It's not how it works. You have to have a reason. Like, but that's what the same thing feminism is doing. They're saying, I deserve to be in a position of power because I'm not currently, and because women.
True.
That's the most blatant power grab I've ever seen in my life. What are you
I
even
actually
talking about?
wonder. I wonder if you agree with this, but when it comes to the wage gap, I think the worst part is that the wage gap is actually in some ways it's a true thing. It's
Yeah.
true that women
Yeah, absolutely.
annually earn 78% of what white men earn.
Yes. Yes, with
That
outliers
is
in both directions, sure.
that that I don't understand how that could possibly be interpreted as
Here, let me let me
women
let me
earn
also put it
78
this way.
cents.
No, let me also put it this way. Women predominantly work service industry jobs in which tips are given.
Yeah, it's
Cash
true.
tips are not reported.
That's a good point. I
I
didn't
know that
think about
because I've dated a lot of waitresses and
that.
I've dated two strippers. Um, they
Awesome.
don't report their shit, dude.
Oh,
So
why would you?
that might contribute to the wage gap, wouldn't it? To
Yeah,
not
totally
when
could.
my ex was taking home from a waitressing job $300 a night and reporting $70,
Yeah, you
that
don't think that adds
might
up?
contribute to the wage gap because she's reported as making a server's wage, which was $4.50 an hour plus tips, which was $70 a day. Yeah, there's a huge wage gap there between her and her cook that works in the back that makes a flat $15 an hour wage. But she made $300 in cash that day she didn't report. So where's this wage gap coming from? I mean, why do female porn stars make more? I mean, it has to do with who's desired in the industry.
Yeah, it's I this is honestly something I don't understand. I don't understand where that interpretation comes from. It's a completely artificial way to be a
Yeah.
victim.
No, it's again, it's seeing data and interpreting it in a way that benefits you. It's not interpreting it in a manner that says, "Oh, because the data says so." It's saying the data says so because patriarchy, or the data says so. It's like having the FBI crime statistics rejected because racism. The FBI is a racist organization, so clearly their statistics can't be trusted. Full stop.
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
just that's not it. It's not it at all. And it's important not to go too far in either direction because you could easily say, oh, it's they people in the black community commit these crimes because they're black, or women make
no,
less money
see, you
because they're
can't.
women.
Yeah, see, those are where you have a problem. Again, like I don't remember who I was talking to, but there was someone online I was talking to. It was like, yes, but you've taken the difference of if you take a racist person, a Nazi, a known neo-Nazi, and he says the world is round, and you quote him, is saying the world is round a racist quote?
Not at all.
And no, and the person countered with, no, But if you take him and you say that black people commit more crime because they're black, and you don't tell people you're quoting a neo-Nazi, they might believe you. And it's like, yes, but the statement is inherently racist. It has no, what the fuck, who cares who said it? Who cares who said the statement, black people commit more crime because they're black?
I mean, that's part of the problem
Who
with
gives a
latching
fuck?
on. Who cares
Who gi-
who says anything?
who
Like,
yeah,
it doesn't
exactly,
matter if it's
correct.
true or not.
Correct. The problem is the idea. Now, if I say that a neo-Nazi, a known neo-Nazi was the first person to discover the earth was round, does that make the earth not round?
It sounds ridiculous, but there is someone who would argue against you on that. I guarantee it.
Exactly. Exactly. But to say again to say that black people commit more crime because they're black, that's a racist statement. It doesn't matter who said it. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter if the Pope said it. That's a racist Pope.
Yeah, and and if you get it back to the women thing, you know, someone could say, "Oh, you know, they're women, so you know, women just aren't as good. They don't make as much money." It's like,
The
how
only
about,
portion
let's look at
of
the
the
other
wage gap,
factors.
the only portion of the wage gap that's attributable to saying it's because they're women is that they give birth and have a tendency that during and after that period of time of pregnancy and birth to stay home and thus drop out of the workforce. Now in Australia, they're actually advocating for people, specifically men, to be taxed to pay women a wage gap differential of 13%. No bullshit. Just here's 13% of the average income of Australia for all women because you had to be women. Dude,
You know,
that's where we're
I don't
going.
hear about it a lot in other countries, but that floors me. Australia,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. No, Australia's got a huge feminist movement. Some of my
Jesus.
early videos were against this Australian feminist.
I did see that. I'll have to give that a look.
If you get a chance, check out a guy named Bering.
All right, definitely.
Literally, the word bear is in like, an actual animal bear, and then
Grr.
ing, and then ing. He is an Australian dude that makes fun of feminism and Christianity and shit. Oh my fuck, he is hilarious. Oh, he is hilarious. But yeah,
Definitely.
it's it's headed towards midnight here.
Definitely. So did you want to say anything to wrap things up and we could end it?
Did you have any final questions or?
I did have one more
Yeah,
if you have
please.
time.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. This was in my life, I actually know feminists and SJW types, and we actually can get along as long as we're not bringing this stuff up. It
Mm-hmm.
seems. Um, I was actually wondering if you had a same situation and how you go about dealing with that.
Yeah, frankly speaking, my mother that I
Oh
talk to
no.
on a regular basis is an old style. Um, I don't think she even realizes it that she's a feminist that is a gynocentric feminist and doesn't realize that fact that she sees all issues that if they can pertain to women, they are women's issues. If they are general issues, they are general issues, even if they majority pertain to men. And I just don't, you just, yeah, you're right. It's the same thing I do with, I live with, or I don't live with, but I have waspy fucking family members. I'm about to go on a I'm about to go on a family retreat with them. Once a year, we all meet in Pennsylvania, where my family comes from, because we're wasps. And I just don't talk about it. I simply don't bring up the fact that I think your Sky Daddy's stupid. Why? Why? What's the point? These people aren't going to argue, just to argue with people, just to be a dick. So it's yeah, you're right.
You
That's
are
the
a
only yeah, exactly. I'm a troll because that's how I vent. But if you have to deal with these people for long term, if they're your boss, if they're your friend, if they're, of course, don't just attack them on their viewpoints if you don't think that they are open to change. Now, if you think they're open to change, swing away. If you think you can actually make a change, fuck yeah, swing away, dude. But most people aren't. We all know that. Most people are just, they're dead set in their ways, and they will come to their own terms. I have found that you're more successful saying something backhanded and sarcastic and then letting that person do their own research than actually outright attacking them. Just say
Yeah,
something,
definitely.
yeah, just say something kind of underhanded, and then you're good. That's good. They'll go home, they'll Google it, and then 3 weeks later they'll come back and be like, "Oh, dude, you're totally right. Like, fucking, that's stupid as shit. I can't believe I used to think that." Arguing
That does
directly.
seem to be a focus of your channel, and I'd say that's probably where our styles differ because I think I probably have a much more angry, rant-filled channel, but you seem to you do it very well too. If I can add, you have a good sense of humor about it, and you treat these things and these people in a sarcastic manner because really that is what this kind of thing deserves. They're spewing nonsense.
Yeah,
It doesn't deserve a researched
no, and
response.
the irony is that I'm a bit of a theologian. I know a very very great deal about most of the world's religions. It was a very very important study to me when I was younger.
That's cool. Definitely.
But that led me to realize that arguing with someone who's willing to go in chapter 13 of, okay, we're done. We're already done. The conversation's over. You're willing to reference the Bible. Like, from now on, I will be making fun of you. Like, the fact that that's your argument. Your argument is a Bronze Age book. One Bronze Age, just one Bronze Age book. That's it. Okay, well, commence the making fun of you. Like, it's because the ideas don't deserve to be. If when I find people that, if you've noticed, I don't know how many of mine you've seen, when I find someone that actually has a legitimate quote unquote argument that I feel the need to refute, I will take the time to refute them. um Most people that I get to, I don't, because the majority of my channel isn't focused on that. Something actually has to upset me to make me want to make a serious video. Otherwise, what I'm doing is literally I sit here with a glass of whiskey and a bowl and I relax. I'm fucking around. I'm doing what I've done since I was 13, which is fuck with people that have fucked up ideologies, that think that they're right with a capital R, because the only right is, and this is just as far as I'm concerned, do as very little harm as possible. Everything else is something you've made up. Everything beyond make people hurt as little as possible is just some shit you made up.
Oh, definitely. And it's nice to see. It's interesting, I guess, to say that I see a very strong pushback on the internet against this kind of mentality.
It is nice to see.
Like you would agree with that though. Like
Mm-hmm.
there aren't that many big feminist YouTubers if you really look at it. There's like a couple, but I would say the anti-feminist YouTubers, I would say there's more of them.
Yeah, but the issue isn't the, think about YouTube. It's the secondary option.
That's true.
What's the actual media look like?
Oh, it's plagued with
Yeah,
feminism.
that's why. That's why the counterculture is YouTube.
That's probably why there's so many big atheists on YouTube as well.
Exactly.
But you don't see that in the mainstream at all.
Not as much. You see occasional things, but even those people are criticized. Those people are wantonly criticized. Like when Richard Dawkins goes on somewhere, he's wantonly criticized by most media.
I mean, fuck it. I've been criticizing Bill Maher recently, so I have no
Yeah,
room to.
he's gone in a direction that really disappointed me personally, but I'm going to make a video about that next week at some
You
point.
know, it's what I agree with him like 98% of the time.
Yeah,
So
but
who
what
gives a
happened
fuck?
in the last few fucking episodes with him and Hillary? Like,
Oh Jesus!
why is he clit licking Hillary so hard? Like, I don't understand. I just don't understand. Like, he works for HBO. Like, he's
I
not
watched.
Viacom owned.
It
He should
doesn't
know
make
better.
sense to me. In a recent episode, he said that she was like a bland centrist, but then in a lot of other episodes, he's completely riding her proverbial dick.
Yeah, I know. It's super bizarre.
I don't understand. But anyway, I guess we're about to wrap this up, I suppose.
Yeah, and if you
Uh,
honestly, if you ever want to have me on, just you got to give
oh
me a
yeah,
couple of days notice, and I can usually work it into an evening schedule.
oh yeah,
Literally,
definitely.
the times of my life that are usually locked off are afternoons Pacific time. Everything else, I'm pretty much open.
All right, definitely. It was a good conversation, and I'd like to definitely have another one. So
Yeah,
this
and you were
is
talking about you were going to have another guest on that was going to talk about something really out there, and that one I'd like to be in on. That would be fun.
yeah, I'll see what I can do about that because actually I've been trying to I do a show kind of similar to Drunken Peasants where we kind of watch videos and shit.
Yeah,
So
I'd be totally into that.
that could be a possibility. But so this has been HagbardCeline. Check out his channel in the description. I strongly recommend it, and we'll have to have you back again, sir. And to everyone who's been watching, good night.
Good night.